State passed, and they hurt the Seminole defense.
Taking off for North Carolina, number 11, Casey Barnes.
Butch Davis, now in his 4th year, has really had to endure massive personnel losses this year. Somehow has managed to keep this team together and afloat. Reed on the return from the 4-yard line. Lost the ball. Carolina has it, or at least had the first shot at it.
Mike, this is obviously going to be a question of whether or not he was down.
I saw the ball come loose from here, for what that's worth.
Now, Reed's an explosive player, and when you start giving extra effort, you've got to really be aware where that football is. The back, you know what, now, I just had a conversation with the officials about this. The back of the hand is not down. I mean, you're still able to run. But once you get beyond a certain point of the wrist, the hand, the back of that forearm, you are down. So the interpretation upstairs is going to be, where was the grass touching that part of the arm?
And now they will kill this play.
Previous play, it's under further review. Ruling on the field was a fumble.
Previously, we understood if any part of your body other than your feet or your hand touched the ground, you were down. And now what you're saying,
it's the wrist. Watch where the wrist is, and is there anything else beyond the wrist going up towards the elbow that's down? In my opinion, from what I'm told, that is down. He is down. The back of the wrist is like, of the hand, is like the front of the hand, okay? But when it gets above the little crease right there at the break of the wrist, then that's a down part of the body.
So in your opinion, more than the back of the hand touches here?
That's what I'm seeing.
Of course, we always get back to, is that indisputable video evidence? The ruling on the field is a fumble. But interpreting the rule that way, I have to agree with you.
That's what I was told. Now, did the ball pop out immediately? See, to me, it looks like it's the crease right there of the wrist. And so
then what do you do?
Well, again, that's what, and I asked him, what is the definition? Where does it begin to become the forearm? Where does the wrist end? And they said, right. They just went right there. So it's an interpretation. Indisputable video evidence. So this is one of those gray areas, but that is the ruling.
The ball appeared to come loose when the back of his hand hit the ground.
Of which would be a fumble, the back of the hand, because he's not down.
But if more than the hand hits, boy, on the monitor I'm looking at, that's just so hard to tell.
I'm going to try to draw and show you kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, right in here, from there forward, it would be a fumble. That's the front of the hand, back of the hand. But when you start getting back this direction, and that touches, you're down. And obviously the ground cannot cause a fumble.
Right. Under that interpretation, it would not be a fumble because part of his arm is down in that replay.
After further review, the runner's forearm was down before the fumble. Florida State will keep the ball. The ball will be placed at the 24.5-yard line. Please reset the clock to 13:15. 13:15, please.
Huge break for Florida State. Would that have been an enormous break for North Carolina?
Boy, you know, North Carolina comes into this football game, and you can see that they came here with serious business. They're swarming to the ball. They open up with a play-action big ball that took the wind out of the Florida State defense. So Florida State better snap their helmets on because North Carolina showed up.
Christian Ponder continues to move up all the passing charts and total offense charts in Florida State history. He leads his team out on the field. They're behind by 7 points. Reed had it go through his hands, and Carter nearly intercepted it. That would have been a gift.
Well, the Reeds have to get it together out here today.
Yeah, there's two different Reeds there.
Absolutely, because Ponder's got to, that ball's got to be caught for a positive gain. They can't afford 2nd and 10s throughout this afternoon.
Ponder, flanker screen. That'll pick up a few to Burt Reed. Halstead out in front giving him a block. These wide receivers have been very good blocking this year.
Well, and this offensive line, Mike, has been very good blocking, led by Rodney Hudson, the left guard. He and Ryan McMahon, they anchor that front up front. The backs and receivers, Thompson, there are 3 different runners there, so it'll be a by committee today.
Halstead can't hang on.
Just a little high. You know, we're going to watch in the footwork today of Christian Ponder and the delivering and you know, get your feet around, step and throw and deliver. Ball's there's got to be caught.
Yeah,
that's just got to be caught. There are 2 drops on that series. This was supposed to be a focused football team. Had a good week of practice, not starting out like a focused ball club.
Some real bad hands so far. Powell to punt to Denoris Searcy. Driven all the way back to the 14-yard line. And goes down at the 20. Good coverage by the Seminoles at 55-yard kick. A 6-yard return. 7-0 North Carolina.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with K. Lexus, this is the pursuit of tomorrow. This is the pursuit of perfection. And Verizon, the signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. Verizon.
Welcome back to homecoming in Tallahassee. Yates spreads the field with wide receivers. And they'll run out of a passing formation. White swallowed up that time by Marcus White. Now for our ACC update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Virginia Tech on Thursday night. That was Craig's game over Georgia Tech. Miami late over Maryland 26-20. Duke in a shootout over Virginia after they had that huge win a week ago. Boston College is leading Wake, and Clemson in a tight one against NC State, leaving Florida State is the only team in its division with only 1 loss. Yates, good protection, throws underneath, complete, but only for a couple of yards to Dwight Jones. So far, Craig, they have been true to their word. Passing formations, they're trying to run. Running formations, they're trying to pass. As a defense, how long does it take you to adjust?
Well, as long as you're out there right now and you're mindful that they have opened the game up with a ball down the field, you got to respect the deep ball, but keep everything underneath you, especially on 3rd and 8.
Joshua Adams is in as an extra wide receiver. 4-man rush, no pressure. Yates throws incomplete. And it was a good thing he threw that behind Johnny White coming out of the backfield. That would have been precariously close to an interception had he been on target.
Really important for the Florida State defense to have had that type of series, because this football team has not been in it yet. You know, the mental mistakes, the drop passes just have not been there. So maybe that picks them up.
C.J. Fiegels, yes, it's his son, the longtime NFL star, kicking to Greg Reed. Reed makes the first man miss. And then the last possible defender for maybe 25 yards pulled him down after a return of 6. The wide receiver, Todd Harrelson, saved a huge gain for the Seminoles. If you're thinking Florida, it's a little chilly, but a beautiful sunshiny day. Seminoles take over at their own 46. Taiwan Easterling stays on his feet, knocked out of bounds at the North Carolina 43.
Willie Halstead, congratulations there. Nice job blocking. Okay, when you talk about this North Carolina defense, up front, they've got to get pressure today on Ponder. Tim Jackson, 93. I like the young guy. He's going to be a good player. We'll watch out there. Copels does lead everybody there. Linebacker Sturdivant starts, but Zach Brown will come in and play and have a lot of influence in this football game. And then Denoris Searcy in the secondary. 3 interceptions in the last 4 games.
Thompson cuts it outside to the 35. This North Carolina defense a year ago was 6th in the nation. They had 9 guys back. A lot of people thought this would be the #1 defense in the entire country. Just loaded with All-American candidates. If they weren't All-Americans, they were all-conference. And Everett Withers, the defensive coordinator, somehow, even with all the guys they lost to suspensions and dismissals, has found a way, and with the injuries, has found a way to keep this unit together, and these guys are still making plays. There is an assistant coach award, the Frank Broyles Award, at the end of every year. Usually it goes to an assistant coach on a team that's a surprise national championship contender. This guy ought to get a bunch of votes.
Well, and he lost John Blake, who had a resignation in the middle of the season, replaced by another coach.
Tackle on that one made by Kendrick Burney, who has just come back. Rodney Smith made the catch. Burney caught up in that NCAA investigation and the North Carolina investigation. Quinn, an All-American candidate. Marvin Austin, an All-American candidate. They're gone. Michael McAdoo, still, it's undetermined what's going to happen to him. Sturdivant was out for 5 games because he was hurt. I mean, it has just been an absolute nightmare for these guys. Burt Reed makes another catch, and he'll be stopped at the 22-yard line.
Well, the one thing I like about Everett Withers and the coaching staff that they've done here is they've reminded these players that it has happened. It's over, and you got to play. You know, you're only guaranteed 12 opportunities to play each season, and I think they've coached them up and done a great job of getting players in there and told them, look, you weren't going to play until next year, but now it's your turn, so let's go with it.
Ponder goes to the shotgun on first down. They spot it at the 23. And they'll run it inside the 10. Jermaine Thomas pounding over defenders. Somebody may have had a word on the sideline because they're playing with a little more heat right now.
Yeah, that defense finally woke them up, and the crowd finally got into it. Ponder with the option, getting it outside to the 09 leading rusher on this football team, Thomas, and he lays the shoulder pad to him, and that even picks the sidelines up more.
He'll get another opportunity off the left side inside the 5, knocked out of bounds at the 3.
But you know,
one more thing about these suspensions, Craig. This is such a proud university of its academic record and its compliance, and it deserves to be proud the way they have conducted themselves over the years. This has really stung them and really hurt them.
And I think Butch Davis, who prides himself on doing it the right way, it stung him.
Absolutely.
This probably should be considered the hardest coaching job season that Butch has ever had to deal with, and he's done a great job of keeping them on track.
Ponder spreads the field, stands in the pocket. Now he takes off and won't be able to pick up anything, taken down at the 5-yard line, and it was Quan Sturdivant who was right there. Tydrick Powell got in his face and made him flush out of the pocket, so Sturdivant could pick him off. He's missed 5 games with hamstring injuries. Well, you can say that just about everybody on this defense has missed X number of games because of something.
Well, you know what? After you miss the wide open receiver that gets at the very, very back middle of the end zone, don't force it. That's a good no throw.
3rd and goal for Ponder. Thompson checks back in as the running back. Ponder throws to the end zone. Touchdown. Willie Halstead, known more than anything for his blocking, picks up his 5th touchdown catch of the year.
Going against Fan Troy over here, they thought they might have an opportunity to have some big plays today, and a nice job of Halstead driving off Fan Troy before he comes back to the flag. And a nice job of Ponder delivering the ball.
Well, I like Halstead down here because of his size. He's 6'3". The point after by Dustin Hopkins, and we're tied at 7. The Seminoles, stung early, come back to tie it with 7:49 to go, first quarter from Tallahassee. Christian Ponder on that last drive that tied it up hit all 4 of his throws to 4 different receivers. Halstead caught the last one, number 82, with his 5th touchdown grab of the season. And now Hopkins will get another chance to kick it off to Searcy. Kicking from the 30-yard line, it is remarkable that he is better than 50% on touchbacks. Five yards deep, bobbled, and they'll keep it there. That is touchback number 30 on the year for Hopkins. Now for an update, Robert Flores in our Times Square studio. Robert.
All right, Mark Tycho Bell, studio update. Illinois needs this 2-point conversion to extend their game in triple overtime with Michigan. Instead, they can't convert. Wolverines survive. It's the highest scoring game of the season thus far. TCU, touchdown pass from Andy Dalton. They lead Utah 7-0. Mike.
Robert, I thought you were talking about the opening of basketball season, 67-65. Play action fake. Complete pass to Adams. Joshua Adams up to the 35.
Now, this Florida State defense normally does not allow receivers running wide open like that. Up front on the defensive line, Marcus White's a good player. Brandon Jenkins really active, has 8 sacks on the season. Linebackers, all of them are pretty good. Kendall Smith leads them in tackles with 60. And in the secondary, Greg Reed gets all the publicity, but Xavier Rhodes, North Carolina coaches believe he's just as good.
Again, a running formation. They've been trying to throw out of these, and it has worked very well so far against this very fast FSU defense. White this time is going to run. And almost every play, Craig, that we have seen, if they have run out of a running formation, it's been stuffed. If they've thrown out of a passing formation, they haven't been successful.
Yeah, and there's 8 men in the box against this formation here, Mike. So Florida State's defense, they felt the tendency. They got up expecting the run, and the freshman, the true freshman, Werner, out there showing a little might here in November.
Loss of a yard, 2nd and 11. Mark Stoops, of that familiar Stoops coaching family. They've all been successful. Yates gives to White. I bet there are guys with the last name Stoops who aren't even part of that family who are getting coaching jobs because of it.
Well, and I told you the story about how the last time after we were here against Boston College, I went up in the coaches' offices to watch games at the end of the day, and Mrs. Stoops was up there, the mother, and she was fantastic. She had such a vibrant personality, and talking about strategy in the game, time of possession, and I guarantee you Mark and Mike and Bob, they said, yes, ma'am.
He has totally turned this defensive program around, which is exactly what Jimbo Fisher was looking for when he went out and got him away from Arizona. Who moves first is always the question, and it's going to be North Carolina.
Number 68, offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
James Hurst, the true freshman who was a 5-star prospect out of high school, the guilty party.
Yeah, Butch Davis told me that he's really talented, maybe perhaps playing as well as anybody, but it's up and down. A true freshman on the road, a big game like this, feels the energy of the crowd and just a little antsy.
3rd and long for T.J. Yates. 4-man rush. Best rushing team in the country as far as pass pressure, and Yates has to throw it toward the sideline, intended for Adams, but off his hands and out of bounds. This Florida State Seminole defense, they come after you. 33 sacks this year, an average of 4.13 a game, number 1 in the nation.
And you saw another guy there, Christian Jones, number 7, making that hit after the throw, a true freshman out of Winter Park, Texas. And so this team just has depth and talent and a really good defensive coordinator in Snoops to teach him.
Fiegels to kick to Reed, who waits at the 25. Returnable kick. Reed taken down at the 21-yard line. 2001, the number 6 Florida State Seminoles lost for the only time against North Carolina. Seminoles came in undermanned, committed 5 turnovers, and the Tar Heels took quick advantage. Led by freshman quarterback Darian Durant, as well as Ronald Curry, North Carolina scored 3 times in the air. North Carolina also ran it in a couple of times. A 41-9 win. Their only victory in 17 tries against FSU. Seminoles start from the 21. Ponder out in the flat to Reed. Well, they like those flanker screens, those bubble screens, whatever you want to call them.
Okay, so you and I were here on that a couple Saturdays ago when they played Boston College. And that ball that he threw right there, after being hurt with a versus sack, which we did not know at the time. We knew that there was something going on.
Because the ball was taking an awful long time to get there.
It got there today, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
A little bit more zip. And Ponders had to deal with against Oklahoma.
Offense, 10 yards from the end of the run. Still 2nd down.
8 is Taiwan Easterling, one of the wide receivers.
So against Oklahoma, he gets hit in his tricep, and it swole up, and he had to deal with that. Now and then Ponder went through, the bursa sack in the elbow, and he got a nick on his wrist. So he's had a lot of different things going on with that throwing arm.
And I've known people who had that bursa sack explode on them. It's a terribly painful injury.
A couple of different times they had to remove a lot of fluid.
Yeah.
I don't know my centimeters and millimeters, but it was a bunch.
They'll try to keep it on the ground with Thompson. Gets a couple to the 20, and it was Kevin Riddick, number 48. One of those really hard-working guys who doesn't have great size or great speed, but always seems to get the job done. He's number 2 on this team in tackles, with 45 this year coming into this game. Ponder now faces 2nd and 12. Play action fake. Complete to Easterling, but not much there. Good defense by Kendrick Burney. An all-ACC performer, playing in only his 2nd game of the season.
Jimbo Fisher here, the offensive coordinator, head coach, play caller, all that stuff. You know, he's trying to feel out this North Carolina defense. Doesn't want to make a mistake on this end of the field early like they've done it in the past.
3rd and long. Ponder had that one tipped. That could have been a big mistake. Quentin Coples, who is playing only because the defensive line has been decimated by dismissals and suspensions, got a hand up on that one. He's very talented.
Well, this is a guy, Coples, who used to play on the outside, but because of lack of depth and all of those suspensions, they had to move him to the inside. So he's got the ability and the wherewithal. He understands get your hands up because he's used to doing that on the outside.
From his tackle spot this year, he has 5.5 sacks, 11 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and has made 42 tackles. For a defensive lineman to have 42 tackles is remarkable. The crowd thinks that thing was touched by a North Carolina player. Florida State finally picks it up after a kick of 40 yards, but the officials say no, didn't touch anybody.
No, I think if anything, it may have touched the Florida State player, but
I think it went right through the wicket.
Yep. Heels
take over at the 32. White out of the eye. 2 wide receivers. White will get the carry. Not much, maybe a half a yard. Saturday night football, a Pac-10 showdown. Number 15 Arizona heading north to take on number 13 Stanford. Saturday night football presented by Southwest Airlines on ABC tonight at 8 Eastern. 7 the nation will see number 12 Missouri at Texas Tech. Go to ESPN.com and search maps to see where you can find your game. Jones, Boyd, and Highsmith in as wide receivers. And they'll go to the tight end Barham, and he can't handle it.
Man, the explosion of that Florida State defensive line coming off the ball. I mean, you hear coaches when they're preparing to play against Florida State always talk about explode off the line. Watch how they just boom. And Yates is feeling that. And when you play Florida State, offensive linemen better be ready.
Their goal is to meet at the quarterback. Yates has hit only one of his last 4 after going 3 for 3 to start the ball game. 5 men, they don't get there. Yates deep down the middle, and he has Jones. Dwight Jones for a touchdown. 67 yards. With protection, T.J. Yates with time to stand in the pocket, and he hit his speedster Jones, who coming into this game had 20 catches for 379 yards in the last 3 games, and he's at it again today, 3 for 107. This guy is on fire. What a pretty throw by Yates. The pocket was just starting to collapse.
Okay, but I want to watch it. I want to teach young wide receivers, if any are out there listening and watching this thing, watch how Jones runs to the ball. He doesn't have his hands out. Jones has to sprint to go get this football. Did you see how he just kept it and he really worked his arms? He sprinted to the football. This ball's put up right where it's got to be, but man, that's an outstanding job of Jones identifying and seeing it's at first when it took off, I thought, boy, he may not be able to get up to this football, and Jones just went and got it. So that's protection up front. They came with the 5, allowed the deep ball to happen, and Yates, man, this season, he's really played well. 66% of his passes he's completing, and that, I think, a real key for North Carolina's success.
He had 15 interceptions a year ago, and everybody was all over him. He's only had 4 this year. He's really turned his game around. And when you get protection like that, you've got talent around you. And remember, Little was a great wide receiver, one of the best in the country.
No doubt.
He fell victim to all this stuff that was going on.
And Yates came out of spring fighting for the starting job.
Absolutely.
I remember watching the spring game thinking, well, who's going to be the quarterback for North Carolina this year? That was the least of their concerns.
Yeah.
Little did they know.
Well, it is T.J. Yates. That is for sure. His quarterback rating of 146.16 is second in the ACC coming in. And once again, Florida State stunned by North Carolina's offensive prowess. Reed from the 3-yard line has the same, trips over a pile of bodies to the 27. Here's Robert Flores.
All right, my New York Life studio update has Boise State on top of Hawaii. Jeremy Avery, watch the block right there. That keys his 14-yard touchdown run. They went for 2 and missed it. They've just added a touchdown and point after, so now the lead is 13-0 early second quarter. Meantime, TCU, same score up on Utah. Battle of undefeated there in Salt Lake. Mike.
And Utah, Robert, thought they had some payback coming this year. They really got waxed a season ago by Texas Christian. Maybe in the process of having it happen again. That's a pretty good football team.
But you saw Andy Dalton's numbers there, 6 of 7 quarterback for TCU.
Yeah.
He's one of those really superstars in college football most people don't know about.
Thomas with the carry gets a couple. Let's take a look at this week's BCS standings brought to you by Vizio. Oregon #1 playing an undermanned Washington team.
So much for the distractions at Auburn with Cam Newton, 62 points.
So the only team in the top 10 so far that's trailing is number 5 Utah, and that's against number 3 TCU. That one's complete to Burt Reed, but he's out of bounds.
And you saw Wisconsin down the ladder in that top 10. They started out slow today, but then really picked it up. And I think Wisconsin, they're sitting nice. So is Michigan State. Michigan State's got a real winnable schedule out.
Yes,
and in the Big Ten, if there's a three-way tie, it's the highest-ranked BCS school in there.
Ponder, very patient, and again another dropped ball. Reed, that's the third ball they've dropped. They've also fumbled a couple of times. One of those was overturned on replay. You got to hold on to the football.
Well, you know what that means? 3 drops now. That's 2 series they've had to give up because of the drops. So instead of having the chains move, you've got to, you got to punt the football away to an offense that now has hit on a couple of deep balls, one that they just had for a long touchdown.
A lot of quarterbacks will start to lose patience. Searcy on a booming punt, signals fair catch, makes it at the 18. If you're a quarterback, you go over to the sideline, you start yelling at guys. You got to hold on to some of these things.
Well, you know what? You remember back at the start of this football season, Christian Ponder, they explained it to us like that. Christian Ponder, they said, it's like that he's over a guy that's in, physics, and everybody else is in elementary school out as the wide receivers. And so they've had to come on. And I thought the wide receivers had been doing a good job. But today they started out slow.
Well, a couple of these guys are going to be put in detention to follow up your example here.
Yeah.
Heels will start at the 18. White has not been much of a factor yet. Neither has the entire running game. Yates dumps it to his tight end, Taylor. And Taylor will take it across to 25. Super speed, super strength, even a super brain can't protect you from the suspicious minds of your in-laws. ABC's No Ordinary Family, all new Tuesday at 8/7 Central on ABC. Second and 3. White hitting the backfield. The first man that hit him was Nick Moody, the safety. Moody he's the 8th guy in the box, and he is in the backfield before they have a chance to get anything started.
Yeah, you know what? Right now you're talking about those tendencies on offense. So the 8th guy comes walking up in here. So now there are 8 guys that are up there against that run, and there's just no way you can get against that. And it's a nice job of going to it by Moody to the ball carrier.
He's not even going to bother reading anything, is he? He's just going to get in the backfield. 3rd and 7, Yates in the gun. 4-man rush. Pretty decent protection. Now Yates takes off and knocked down at the 24-yard line. Good coverage downfield. That's why Yates took off. Brandon Jenkins ends up making the tackle.
You know what happened there was Mark Stoops decided to do a little work up front with the defensive line. They had what in the old days some people called El Paso, just crossing. Tackles and ends, did an X stunt on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that confused the O-line just enough for the coverage sack to occur.
And that is the final play of the first quarter. It's homecoming at Florida State, but North Carolina's doing the celebrating so far. They're up 14-7. Welcome back to college football presented by K Jewelers. Both punting units on the field as we start the second quarter with North Carolina leading Florida State by a touchdown. C.J. Fiegels to kick to Greg Reed. Reed disdained the fair catch, looking for running room. He's been close a couple of times. A flag is down. It looked like it was a face mask. A 36-yard punt, a net 1 yard on the return.
Now, this was a concern for North Carolina early in the season, was coverage units for kicks and punts. Today, they've been really good, and you see a lot of white jerseys around the return men. Hand just happened to slip up across the mask on that one.
Zach Brown got it.
Personal foul, face mask, number 35 of the kicking team. 15 yards will be added to the end of the run. First down.
Yeah, one of the key parts of this ball game so far for Florida State offensively have been the drops. Early on, they've had 3 different receivers dropping balls now. Ponder's going to lose confidence in them. They're going to start thinking about it. And Jimbo Fisher, he's just saying, look, catch the ball out front, use your hands. Don't let the ball get into your body, but they're just out of sync. I think they're thinking more about North Carolina defenders hitting them than they are about the leather coming to their hands.
Now, they're going to hit them anyway, aren't they? Ponder, good protection. That one was almost dropped. It was caught by Halstead, but the ball ended up on his hip. Taken down by Searcy. Nice throw by Ponder.
And this ball, even this one here, Halstead had to use his hip, it looked like, to bring it in. Whoops, yeah, hang on to it there, but really nice job of Ponder throwing a catchable ball to Halstead.
They've all been catchable.
Yeah, but he really took a little off that one. He made sure he could catch that thing.
Thompson goes in motion. Ponder looks the other way. Pump fake, throws deep. Wide open, Smith, touchdown. Well, if you drop that one, you don't even bother to go back to the sideline. A perfect throw, and he's wide open.
Watch Smith as he comes out and he keeps his shoulder pads, bottom right of your screen, keeps his shoulder pads down, draws the corner up, and then that's a really hard ball to throw and an equally hard ball to catch. Because it's supposed to happen.
Yes, it is.
I've dropped those.
What's supposed to happen doesn't always happen. We've already seen that. But the Seminoles are back even at home. 14-14 with North Carolina. 14 minutes, 15 seconds to go first half of play in a 14-14 tie.
All right, now
North Carolina and FSU.
Mike, we talked about a concern in the secondary for North Carolina. Kendrick Burney, you see him bite as he's looking into the backfield and he sees Ponder with a fake pump. He bites hard and he comes up. Now, this is just his second game back, and this defense in the secondary especially, they've had some concerns and rotations back there.
Well, the guys that weren't dismissed or suspended or held out have been hurt. It has been an unbelievable list of people who have been involved in attrition, particularly in the secondary.
So you lose your technique. You know, you just don't, your feel for the game. It's only a second one back. And Ponder threw for 395 yards last year on Thursday night against North Carolina. So he's had success. You knew that's going to be a challenge coming in the game.
When they were all healthy and available. Searcy. Taken down at the 27. They'll start from there. Yates has played really well early in this ball game. So has Ponder.
See if Mark Stoops can dial up a little bit of variation here for TJ Yates. The defense today so far, you know, they've given up 2 already.
And only 1 in the first 4 games. So the idea of John Shoop coming out, throwing out of running formations and running out of passing formations has been very successful here in the first half. End around, drone, caught in the backfield, taken down for a 2-yard loss. They put in Sean Drone, who 2 years ago gained over 800 yards and has lost his job to Johnny White. Tried to fool him, and it didn't work. The Seminoles, they are so fast. it is very difficult to do misdirection against these guys.
Yeah, I think the passing game is going to be the best shot for North Carolina against this defense today. They will not have a consistent dose of running against Florida State's defense.
Yates with time, throws underneath. Is it a catch and a fumble? Seminoles think so. Now an official comes in and says incomplete. It was intended for Dwight Jones. The officials are taught if there is a question of whether it is a catch or not, rule it incomplete.
Yeah, and Jones has to turn with it completely in his hands. I don't think he made a full, complete turn with the ball. Bradham is right there. As soon as Jones touches the football, he turns up the field. He'd not made the complete turn. Nice job by the officials.
3rd and long for Yates. They backed out of the blitz. Yates throws on the run to White, and White drilled immediately. Only got a couple of yards out of the play before Nigel Bradham, the weak side linebacker, took him down. And Florida State right now saying, listen, we can get some pressure with 4 coming after the quarterback. We're going to drop 7 and not give you anything.
Yeah, that was a coverage sack there. And this is that defense that leads the nation in sacks with 33. They get over 4 a game, so you don't want to be back there holding the ball too long.
No. Fiegels to kick to Reed. Another low returnable kick. Reed's been close, but just hasn't been able to escape good pursuit by the Tar Heels special teams. 2-yard return that time after a line drive kick of 32.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by AT&T. Rethink Possible. Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Rogue Skyline. This Friday, our first encounter will be our last stand.
All sorts of good stuff at homecoming.
Mike, as often as you and I call these Florida State games, my 4th one, we may want to rent a condo here in Tally.
I'm surprised you didn't have a float today. Thomas. Across midfield, flag is down as well. And it will come back. Chris Thompson able to turn the corner. That was probably why.
Holding, number 82 offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Still first down.
Willie Halstead, the wide receiver, the second penalty he has been flagged for in this game. It is a really good running game, but no one in particular doing a particularly good job. Thomas, Thompson, and Jones all with about the same number of yards, virtually the same average. And Jimbo Fisher says somebody gets hot, they stay in. They have all been hot at various times of the year. Ponder's been hot almost all year. That was almost picked off. Should have been. Denoris Searcy really had a beat on it, had it right in his hands.
Yeah, and you know what? Christian Ponder just didn't see the free safety in the middle of the field. And he didn't recognize that it was back there. And very lucky this isn't a turnover. This has been more or less a sloppy half. Now, 6 of 11 drives combined in this half have been 3 and outs. And yet you got 28 points going. So it's just a lot of sloppy play. You get a good first down run, it's holding. You know, it's just sloppy.
How was that for closing speed by Searcy, able to undercut the route from his safety spot? Plan run, quarterback, Ponder across the 40 to about the 41. He doesn't mind taking punishment.
He tries to give it out.
Yes, he does.
And it's cost him sometimes with the nicks along his body, shoulder, elbow, tricep. But that is an element of this offense that really opens up a defense.
3rd and call it 6 from Florida State 40. Ponder with good protection again. Halstead. A perfect throw, dropped it right over his shoulder and beat LeCount Fantroy. 40 yards. Boy, he's thrown some pretty balls.
North Carolina coaches use the words, "We hope the light comes on at some point for Fan Troy." Well, Christian Ponder is going against any corner. It doesn't matter who it is out there right now. And when you give him time, you see the accuracy and the proficiency of Ponder's throwing.
Halstead, a 6'3" sophomore who has improved dramatically this year. Ponder wants to keep it again. Goes airborne and gets down to the 16-yard line where Bruce Carter, the All-American candidate and linebacker, made the tackle. Carter is projected to be one of the first 4 or 5 linebackers taken in the draft. Very talented kid.
He's got those NFL numbers, 4.39 in the 40. 440-pound bench. You put those kind of stats up there with a body size of 230 and can run. That's good.
Yeah, they'll find a spot for you. Ponder again pitches it back to Thompson. Little option action. There's a late hit out of bounds, and here come the flags. There's just no reason for that. Deontay Williams, who accepted extra benefits this year and was suspended.
After the player was out of bounds, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 27. The penalty is half an inch to the goal. First down.
Preseason All-ACC, just makes a silly mistake.
Just got to leave him alone. You're past the white chalk. I mean, you're out there. It's over now. In 2 games back, he's been very aggressive. Has 23 tackles, interception, forced fumble. I mean, he's playing hard football, but you got to play smart as well.
Sure do. And the way Ponder's throwing, he doesn't need any help. Automatic first down, 1st and goal from the 7. Jermaine Thomas, the new tailback. Ponder instead on the flanker screen. Easterling, touchdown. Taiwan Easterling just kept fighting for yardage and got it in the corner of the end zone. Kendrick Burney had a chance to make a play and couldn't.
This is all about formation. You're going to see the linebacker 54 walks back up and gives them the numbers on the outside for Ponder to throw the football. 54 Carter came in, gives them the numbers on the outside, throw it out there for a shot at a touchdown.
Point after makes it 21-14. 11 out of 17, 140 yards and 3 touchdowns for Christian Ponder. His team's up by 7.
That wasn't sloppy.
Christian Ponder's already thrown 3 touchdown passes. We still have 10-13 to go in the first half. Not a bad day's work already.
I'd say he's forgotten the 6 turnovers in the previous 2 games.
I think so. And he's obviously feeling better. The ball's got more zip on it. Searcy is deep. Waiting 2 yards into his own end zone. Low line drive kick bounces over his head. They'll start from the 20. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary here in Tallahassee this afternoon. Ponder 11 of 17, the 3 touchdowns we told you about, 140 yards in about 1 1/3 quarters. That was the last one that put him ahead, and T.J. Yates had a pretty good first half as well, 151 yards. His big strike to Dwight Jones. Florida State called for an offside penalty, so that will move it out to the 25. So Yates will go back to work. 10-13 to go first half. White, the tailback. They go back to trying to cross him up. This is a passing formation, and Yates will throw out of it. Underneath to White. Grabbed and taken down at the 13-yard line by Mr. Alexander.
Now, this guy here, I was sitting up here thinking, you've got to get the ball in White's hands. All-purpose, 122 a game. I like the fact that he has 21 receptions coming into this ball game. Throw him the football in space out of the backfield.
He has been all over the North Carolina roster during his career. He's been a wide receiver, so he can run any route. He's also played defensive back, so he knows what those guys are up to. And he's the second leading rusher out of the tailback spot in the ACC. You want versatile? You got number 34. He's out there again. And he has a first down to the 44-yard line. His third catch of the night. They have had only one running back over 800 yards since 1997. That was Drone 2 years ago. He is approaching that mark.
Well, unfortunately, he's down right now and hurt.
Now, they cannot afford to lose him. He has scored 6 touchdowns on the ground this year. It's been the mainstay of their running game. Good to see him sit up.
You know, that's like a quarterback that gets hit from the backside and it just can't. You can't fall properly because all the weight of the defender's on you, and you go to the shoulder, and those shoulder pads just cannot break all of that blow. And unfortunately, many times you'll see it end up being a broken clavicle or separated shoulder.
Very slow coming off the field, but at least he's able to walk under his own steam. And holding his left hand or his left wrist.
That's his shoulder, though. I've done that walk before.
Yeah, you see,
I know it well.
It sort of hangs down to your side.
And you're holding on your shoulder, keeping it to your body.
Well, the very capable Sean Drone, number 20, is in. He has rushed for 363 yards this year. He was the starter 2 seasons ago. Gets the ball in the carry, stumbles, got his balance back, and drives forward for 9 yards. Now for today's Athletic Trivia question. Who was North Carolina's last 1,000-yard rusher? We told you they hadn't had anybody over 800 since 1997. So think 1997. That might be a hint. Second and a yard. They'll go back to the I with Curtis Bird, the fullback, in front of Drone. And Drone off the right side spins, has a first down. When you get your starter at running back hurt, Mr. Former running back, and you put in the second string guy, does it tend to make your play calling just for that moment a little bit more conservative?
We saw on first down, John Shoup went right to him, gave Drone the ball. They have total confidence in Drone. He's a good, proven player. And if you're Drone, you know that you've got to now pick it up. You see your starting running back teammate going to the locker room. He's down with his shoulder. Now it's your game. You got to pick it up, and you got to take advantage of the opportunity.
North Carolina's season is basically on the line right here. Yates throws underneath, has it complete. That's going to be a first down to Adams, and Joshua Adams making moves inside the 20 to about the 17. They've lost 2 games in the conference. They cannot afford to lose a third and still make the ACC championship game.
Well, John Shoup is so good at formations and moving and hiding receivers. That time, Adams is on the inside, and you see him as an inside slot receiver, and the play action takes place. Everybody scatters, following the middle of the field, and just finds the flat. Good job by Yates knowing where he's supposed to go with it.
They have had their most success when they have tried to cross up the FSU defense. Show them one thing and do another. Yates takes off, gets out of bounds. A very smart play back there by LaMarcus Joyner. He could have had a shot at Yates at the sideline, and he went, no, it's not worth popping him and maybe getting 15 yards. It's a very good decision.
15 yards in, the wrath of Mark Stoops.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Stoops told me before the game, he said, look, Craig, we got to really be careful about all this stuff because they will move formations and do things like they are on this drive, trying to get openings. You've got to make sure you stay disciplined on your job.
Everybody in tight on second down, and Yates is going to throw out of it. Blitz coming. Got the completion to Anthony Elzy, and Anthony Elzy into the corner. How about that? Elsie with his first touchdown of the season.
Boy, there's a lot of movement, but what a beautiful job. Cam Holland, the center, 65, getting out front. He's in there, he's hidden, he gets out, and he's able to provide the block that clears the receiver to get out in the field. Does he
stayed in bounds?
Oh, man, he just stayed in there. Wow.
And again, everybody was in tight on that formation. 9 times out of 10, you're going to run it. That time they threw the screen pass. It works for a touchdown. John Shoup and the offensive staff has done a great job today for the Heels.
There's no question that it hasn't been easy. The mood, the atmospheres, the uncertainty, the X and O aspect of dealing with who might play, who could play, who will play, and trying to get the team prepared.
Waits, time, flashes, incomplete. LSU wins it.
And there is the ball game. And for the 10th straight year, North Carolina loses its ACC opener.
It's hard to imagine starting your football season without 13 players that you had counted on. And that's what happened in North Carolina. 10 of 16 DBs have missed games. They were 0-2 at the start. Since then, they've won 5 of the last 6, held opponents under 15 points a game, and scored almost 26 themselves. They're right in this one with Florida State.
And lost a coach. John Blake brought a new coach in for him. I mean, so this just been amazing what they've done.
Reed on the return has the seam up the middle to the 35. Zach Brown made the stop on special teams. And now the Seminoles will go back to work with 6:50 to go in the first half.
It's been kind of one of the really good.
Kicking team number 1. 5 yards will be added to the end of the run. First down.
2 offsides penalties on kickoffs.
Yeah. That's kind of what the game's been. It's been either really a well-played game or a bad one. I mean, you have 12 possessions, 6 possessions were touchdowns, 6 were 3 and outs.
And bad news for North Carolina. White has been diagnosed with a shoulder injury. We are told his return is doubtful. Ponder on a run, got it to Reed, and Reed nearly had it taken away by Kendrick Burney, who had a shot at it, thought he was going to end up with a football.
Now, Burney saw it, he read the right route, and the receiver coming into his area went to it. But I thought he could have made a play on the ball and the receiver at the same time and not just gone for one. So, you know, that's, again, it's just 2 games back.
Ponder again comes to the near side, complete to Halstead, and he's out of bounds at the North Carolina 37-yard line.
I felt coming into this game this would be an absolute challenge for North Carolina in their secondary and the passing game with Ponder. They're going to have to change it up. They can't just rush forward. They're going to have to bring 5 or 6. They cannot allow Ponder to sit back there and throw it.
Ponder flanker screen again, this time to Easterling. And Easterling has a first down before he's pushed back. They'll mark it near the 32-yard line for a first down.
I did this game last year on Thursday night, and Christian Ponder, I would say, Mike, that he likes playing against North Carolina.
Apparently.
And North Carolina had him. I mean, this game last year, after really 3 quarters, it was 24-6. North Carolina.
Ponder having a huge first half. That pass just off the fingertips of Halstead. Catchable, would have been tough.
The reason I think that he misses it, his body's moving away from the football that's gone more to the inside. And any good receiver would tell you, hey, I got 2 hands on that. I've got to bring it down.
Ponder throwing to his wide receivers. He's been able to throw it to guys who are open, and that's one thing he has done throughout his career. He has not been focused on particular guys. If you're open, he'll find a way to get you the football. Of course, he's human. You drop 3 or 4 in a row, you may not get another shot anytime soon.
All right, money down here. North Carolina's defense. We'll see if Everett Withers dials up something a little bit different.
Third, call it 6. Ponder with 4 wide receivers. 3-man rush. They drop 8. Ponder wants to run for it himself. Has the first down and more. Christian Ponder to the 14-yard line. He's not shy. He'll take off if it's there.
See if I can show you 54 Bruce Carter, who's right here, okay? Now let's follow him a little bit here, because as this play develops, Carter drops off, and he's really spying Ponder. See how he's spying there, and the receiver who comes across? And he just did. Ponder did a nice job of just saying, hey, I've got good feet. I'm going to go get this first down.
And he did. First down from the 14. Thomas can't get outside. He'll lose 1, maybe 2 yards. And Deontay Williams came up from the safety spot.
Bad shoulder, bad tricep, bad elbow, bad wrist. Ponder keeps moving north on the all-time passing list here at Florida State.
Just past Danny Cannell and Gary Huff in this ballgame. He is now 4th all-time behind Winky, Ricks, and Weatherford. Ponder with good protection. Screen to Thomas. Thomas down near the 5. They need to reach the 4 for a first down.
You know, Mike, this is an offensive line now. They should be given some credit and love here in the first half, because they had to replace Brian Stork, their right guard, out with an illness. And they brought Sanderson in, number 73, playing over at right guard. And they've done a nice job today of allowing Ponder to throw these balls down the field.
That was the first catch for Florida State, not by a wide receiver in this ballgame, and the Seminoles will take a timeout at the 3:51 mark.
So you want to talk about the lovely guys catching the ball? I'm talking about the offensive line, Rick Trickett's guys.
Saturday Night Football has a Pac-10 flavor and a big showdown coming. Number 15 Arizona, number 13 Stanford. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines on ABC tonight at 8 Eastern. Some of the nation will see number 12 Missouri and Texas Tech. Go to ESPN.com and search maps to see where you can find the game that you want.
This is a telling month. This conference play, and you get a lot of emotional rivalry kind of games. I just saw on the ticker going below, Iowa State leading Nebraska. We've seen a lot of teams ranked that were supposed to have been doing well at parts of the games today. Eventually, the ones who are supposed to win, the talent takes over, but Iowa State on top of Nebraska.
What a game would that be for Iowa State? They've already beaten Texas. How many years can you back they beat both of those guys? Thompson returns as the tailback on 3rd and a yard. He goes in motion. Ponder gives it straight up the middle to the fullback, Lonnie Pryor. And he's in for the touchdown. The last time they ran out of that formation and sent Thompson in motion, Ponder threw the ball. This time they crossed him up, and Pryor went straight up the middle.
The 6th, the different starting offensive line combination in the last 9 games. Nobody was able to penetrate that offensive line, and the new match for Rick Trickett, the offensive line coach, works.
Seminoles with a 7-point lead with 3:47 to go in the half. For Lonnie Pryor, his 2nd rushing touchdown of the season, and it gives his kids the lead. Lonnie Pryor with the touchdown run. So Florida State does to North Carolina what the Heels have tried to do this year. They crossed him up, gave him one formation, and gave him a play you normally wouldn't see out of it, or hadn't seen before, at least in this game. The offensive coordinators enjoying this a lot more than the defensive coordinator. Well, we had to get the shovel brigade out there because the horse was on the field during the break.
I've stayed up in the booth. I haven't been down.
You don't sign up for the student manager to do that, do you? And this one will go out of the end zone. I mean, it's one thing carrying a bag of footballs. It's another thing to be going out there with a shovel. So I don't know.
Well, this has been a very interesting half of football. You know what? I'm impressed with North Carolina showing up, TJ Yates doing his thing. But Christian Ponder clearly has forgotten the mistakes that were made the previous 2 games. He's come out and directed an offense once the receivers started catching the ball, doing a really nice job.
I'm not saying a word. I'm just impressed with the guy with the shovel. Carolina still with plenty of time here in the second quarter. And Yates wants to throw. Little screen. It was tipped and incomplete. And it was Brandon Jenkins that appeared to have got a hand on it. Well, let's go back and give you the answer to our Aflac trivia question, which was, who was North Carolina's last 1,000-yard rusher? And the answer, Jonathan Linton, 1,004 yards in 1997. And if you want to bake a cake and mail it to Jonathan Linton, his birthday is tomorrow. He will be 36. Wow. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
2nd and 10. Yates over the middle. And he completes it to Adams. And Adams right at the sticks. They need to get to the 30. Jenajay made the tackle, and it is a first down.
Boy, very impressed with TJ Yates. Hadn't seen him yet this year in person. Compared to the past, he just looks more decisive with his throws. You know, and right now, Stoops is rushing 4 on that defensive line and dropping 7 in coverage. No pressure on Yates, and he just feels good about where he's going with the ball.
Had a monster first half, 217 yards on 12 of 17 throws. Play action fake to Drone. Good protection for Yates. And a good decision. He just throws this one out of bounds. Let's check back in with Robert Flores. Robert?
All right, Mike, here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now, presented by Discover. #1 Oregon starting to find their stride against Washington. Darren Thomas, 34-yard score. They lead UW 18-6. And watch this touchdown catch from Drake Dunsmore. Beautiful one-handed catch. Northwestern leading Penn State 21-zip. Joe Paterno sitting on 399 career wins. Mike.
You know, Robert, when Joe says he doesn't care about 400, I believe every word he says, but we care about 400. Love to see the man get it. The sooner the better. Yates. Drone on the screen. It's the second time he slipped trying to make a cut. Got it up to the 38-yard line. Alan Pelk out in front, threw him a nice block on that screen.
So here you go with a John Shoop out there. Got a little NFL background to him. He likes those screens, and that's going to really put pressure on Mark Stoops to figure out something against it. But it gets them to that 3rd and short, which that screen was designed to do. Get them in either first down or manageable 3rd.
Clock running, 2:19. 3rd and 2. Carolina trying to keep the drive alive. Stack the receivers to the near side. Yates with time, throws underneath, got the first down to Jones. And he's out of bounds to stop the clock at the 2:02 mark.
That's the respect Shoop has for that Florida State defensive line, moving that pocket, making sure he didn't sit back there with a chance to get popped right in the mouth. And it's either going to be run for a first down by the quarterback or he dumps it off easily to his receiver Jones.
Well, your job as a coach, isn't it, to put guys in positions to succeed? In that time, they needed 2 yards. They got Yates on the outside, able to make the easy throw and pick up the first down. Drone is in there because Johnny White has been hurt, if you joined us late. Again complete to Jones. He's whacked just short of the first down marker. Coming up on the Capital One halftime report, John Saunders and Jesse Palmer, highlights and scores from a busy day in college football.
Man, how about Jones? How hot is this guy? You know, coming into the game, and you mentioned it earlier, 20 receptions in the last 3 games. just has really stepped it up.
I mean, he's averaging about 130 yards a game in his last 4 right now.
North Carolina.
Heels called timeout with 1:11 to go in the first half, facing a 2nd and 1. Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, all locked in the tightest championship battle in Chase history. Now with just 3 races left, the pressure intensifies. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues at Texas tomorrow. 3 Eastern on ESPN. Coverage starts with NASCAR Countdown at 2. The telecast presented by GoDaddy.com. And look at this. Hamlin 14 points behind. Harvick only 38 points behind Jimmy Johnson, who just continues to cling to that lead.
Good weather down in Texas. They'll have a nice race. Motor Speedway.
Anywhere near you?
Well, it's not too far. 30-35 minutes from me. I go by it quite often.
Do you turn left when you go by it?
There's something about it.
2nd and 1. Yates, good play action fake. Wants it all, has a man open and overthrow him. By a step, his tight end Ryan Taylor was wide open. And Yates just missed it.
You see him on the inside there, and how they were able to set this play up, and the aggressiveness. Florida State coming up like they did. I mean, whew.
It was an abundance of receivers who were wide open. He had another guy who was over the middle. Nobody was near him. And Yates is just thinking, how can I do that? 3rd and a yard. Drone off the right side. Dives. That's going to be a first down. Flag down at the end of the play.
Holding. Number 49. 10 yards, previous spot.
Ryan
Still
Taylor called for the hold. He had Mr. Alexander, the linebacker, on the ground.
Yeah, it's just a hard block because you're right there in front of the officials. You're in man line of scrimmage. I'm not so certain that that's a hold. I mean, I see his hands on the outside of the jersey there. He's got to get those in just a little bit. But, I mean, he stayed engaged with him the whole time.
All too often you see, particularly offensive linemen, where a defensive lineman goes to the ground being blocked and they call a hold, and you're seeing that guy just driving him into the ground.
I think he just dominated the guy.
Me too. It was a first down run. The penalty makes it 3rd and 11. FSU showing blitz. They back out of it. Yates in trouble. Down he goes. The pressure came from Brandon Jenkins, who gets a nation-leading 34th sack by this Seminole defense.
Yeah, by the Seminole defense, and the 9th sack by Brandon Jenkins. Jenkins is just a guy that I love watching. He can play in space. He can do anything he wants. But when you put him on a tackle, I've seen it time and again this season, he'll run right around them.
Speed kills. Always has, always will.
34 seconds, please.
So if you're a coach, you're sitting there and you scratch your head tonight looking at the ceiling. Butch Davis is saying, okay, we dial up a play on 2nd down and miss a big touchdown throw by a few inches.
Should have been 28-28 right now.
There's a lot of should have been, could have been up to this point in the season, right?
That's why we love sports, isn't it? So with 34 seconds to go, they're going to have to punt it away. Of course, this is why this game is so big. Florida State got a gift earlier today. Maryland and North Carolina State both lost, so they are in control of their destiny. North Carolina cannot fall any further behind. They're 2 back in the loss column against Virginia Tech. They will play the Hokies next week. They could cut that lead in half, but if they fall back 3 games, only mathematically are they alive. Reed. Boy, he just swarmed under. Nice job by the Carolina special teams again. He'll lose 4 on the return after a punt of 42. Only 25 seconds to go in the half. And Herman Davidson will get credit for that last tackle.
Yeah, I thought both of these quarterbacks played extremely well. The numbers reflect that. The receivers had several drops that we've noted for Ponder.
And you could have added 45, 50 yards to Yates if he doesn't miss that last pass.
You know, Yates is one of those guys that as he plays more, he's had 4 300-yard passing games in his career. 2 of them are this year, so he's on his way to his 3rd 300-yard passing game.
Seminoles go into their victory formation. They'll be content to go to the locker room with a 7-point lead, to the delight of the homecoming crowd here at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. T.J. Yates, a big first half, could have been bigger. One bad throw cost him a touchdown. At the half, our score, Florida State 28, North Carolina 21. When we come back, John Saunders and Jesse Palmer bring you up to date with the Capital One halftime report. That's after these messages.
Which way the wind is blowing, and then we'll look back on it.
Welcome, everyone, to the Capital One halftime report. John Saunders alongside of Jesse Palmer. We have the #1 team in action, the #2 team in action. Oregon, though, it looked like they would be taking the day off against Washington. No Jake Locker, Washington, a middle-of-the-pack team in the Pac-10 this year. But Oregon got a little more than they could handle for the Duck, not doing as many push-ups as he has been doing. Michael James takes a handoff, stopped well short of a first down. Nice job.
One of the reasons Oregon's averaging 55 points a game, they play 4-down football as a mentality on offense.
Michael James fumbles the ball. Washington recovers. James coughed it up 3 times in the first half, turned it over once. James takes a handoff this time and goes in for a touchdown. They get a 2-point conversion as well. And then Darren Thomas, you can only hold this guy down so long. Watch the speed.
It does not take this offense long to score. They score so often in a minimal amount of time. One of the biggest reasons why they have a very mobile quarterback in Darren Thomas.
Bad news for Washington. They have to play a second half. Auburn, the #2 team. Interesting week for Cam Newton. All the allegations about the offers of money at Mississippi State, but Newton not bowed by it. Emory Blake, 20 yards for a touchdown. And then Newton to Darvin Adams in the end zone, 39 yards.
Cam Newton is now accounted for 35 total touchdowns on the season. Heading into today, there were 90 teams in the Football Bowl subdivision that had not scored 35 touchdowns.
Amazing. He's on his way to Heisman. TCU and Utah, both unbeaten, both from non-qualifying conferences. Andy Dalton to Josh Boyce, deep down the sidelines. He breaks it and goes 93 yards.
You love this of your head coach, Gary Patterson. Coming into the game, Andy Dalton was only completing 23% of his passes when throwing down the sidelines 25 yards or more downfield. Great accuracy.
Jeremy Curley takes a snap, fakes the handoff. He throws over the middle to Bart Johnson, 23-0.
It's now starting to look a lot like the 55-28 beatdown TCU served Utah last season.
And so Utah would be knocked from the equation, which would leave it to TCU and Boise State from the non-qualifiers. And Boise State facing Hawaii today. Double reverse. Jeremy Avery takes it 14 yards.
Second week in a row, we've seen trickeration down in the red zone from head coach Chris Peterson. Remember last week, Kellen Moore caught a touchdown pass on that area of the field.
Speaking of Kellen Moore, Tyler Shoemaker in traffic, 12 yards.
He had a career-high 5 touchdown passes last year in a win at Hawaii. Off to a great start again today.
21-0. Alabama, watch this team continue to creep up. Les Miles is there with Nick Saban. They both won national championships. Nick Saban's won a couple. Greg McElroy's pass gets tipped, intercepted by Kelvin Shepherd. The offense is struggling.
Yeah, Alabama's offense, only 8 giveaways coming into this game.
McElroy this time to Trent Richardson. Just has to punch this one across. Alabama leads this one 7-3. So as you look at the standings in the BCS, keep in mind that Alabama, there you see them at #6, will creep up if they continue to win, which would include a win against Auburn at the end of the season.
Well, we know Oregon and Auburn both control their own destinies. If they win out, they're going to match up in the BCS national title game. We know TCU, Utah, one of those teams has to go down today. Yep. Alabama, though, sitting with only 1 loss at #6 in the BCS standings. They still have 3 regular seasons to go against ranked opponents. None bigger than the Iron Bowl at home against a potential top 2 team in Auburn. If they're able to win the SEC title game, you have to think this Alabama team leapfrogs any number of undefeated non-AQ schools. 4 times now in a row an SEC team has won the national championship. So Alabama is sitting in very good position right now.
LSU also still in that equation if they were to win today, but they would need Auburn to lose twice for them to get to that SEC championship game. Joe Paterno looking for a career win. Number 400 would be the first in FBS history to do that. But look at this catch by Drake Dunsmore from Dan Persa.
Easily the catch of the day. Dunsmore able to get that right foot down. Northwestern 4-0 coming into this game on the road. True freshman quarterback Rob Bolden for Penn State pulled at the end of the first half. We'll see if Penn State can come back.
21-7. This is the Capital One halftime report. Back with more in a moment. Welcome to the Capital One halftime report. John Saunders alongside of Jesse Palmer. In the Big Ten, there was a wild game played today. Illinois, by the way, has proven they're a better team than many thought this year in the Big Ten. Taking Ohio State down to the wire and such. Facing Michigan today in the Big House. Denard Robinson, he passed for a career high in yards, but guess what? He would be pulled out of this game. Nathan Shieldhouse, wide open. Mikal LaShore in the end zone, 27-yard touchdown. Game is tied at 38. They go to overtime. First possession, Shieldhouse does the exact same play.
LaShore at running back would run for 120 yards, 3 scores. He would also have 2 touchdown receptions in this game.
First time in Michigan history they've given up over 40 points in back-to-back games. Tate Forshey, look at this one, bounce around. Junior Hemingway gets it.
Big day for Hemingway, over 100 yards, 2 touchdown catches.
This is the third overtime. Michael Shaw goes in. Michigan has to go for the 2-point conversion. They get it. And then Illinois goes. They get the touchdown. They have to go for a 2-point conversion. But Michigan's defense comes on the blitz, and Shieldhouse gets shut down, and Michigan wins it 67-65. And Jesse, that's a whole lot of points. 132 combined, the most in any FBS game this season, and most in a Big Ten conference
game. The last time both these teams played basketball, the score is 51-44. There was over 1,200 yards of offense. Michigan survived 5 turnovers, and that's a big win for Rich Rodriguez. This team had just lost 3 consecutive conference games.
And they're bowl eligible now, which is huge. That might keep them in the job. Brett Bielema, meanwhile, for Wisconsin. On the road, they're in the hunt for the Big Ten championship. Sean Robinson's pass is tipped, picked up by Antonio Fenelus, who takes this one for a pick 6. Purdue had 4 turnovers.
Wisconsin's defense came up big, capitalizing on those mistakes. Wisconsin has now won 5 in a row against Purdue.
8-1 for the first time since 2006. Michigan State trying to bounce back against Minnesota. That's a good team to bounce back against. Edwin Baker takes a handoff, goes down the sidelines, 30 yards for a touchdown.
Edwin Baker showing you the speed and the cutback ability. A $179, 4 touchdown runs on the day for Edwin Baker.
Baker from a yard out, 31-8. So Michigan State also in the hunt for the Big Ten championship, as is Iowa facing Indiana. Although this one would be a sticky and scary one for Ricky Stanzi. Stanzi finds Marvin McNutt. This is in the 4th quarter, 52 yards for a touchdown.
Iowa's game-winning drive only took 3 plays. Head coach Kirk Ferentz gets its 100th win. Indiana has now lost 19 of its last 21 in conference play.
Indiana dropped a touchdown in the end zone, too, that would have won that game. So the standings are this way, and I'll leave it to you to explain.
Well, just keep in mind, Ohio State has to go to Iowa November 20th, so one of those 2 teams is going to lose. But the 3-way tie looking more and more probable at the end of the season atop the Big Ten. If that's the case, and all 3 teams have the same overall record, the tie will be broken by the team ranked highest in the final BCS standing.
Which right now would be Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Baylor against Oklahoma State, trying to play their way to the Big 12 championship game through the South. Mike Gundy, he's a man. Justin Blackman is the man. Takes the reverse, goes 69 yards for a touchdown.
Justin Blackman, the nation's leading receiver, back from a 1-game suspension, had a $173 catching, including this 69-yard Oklahoma at home. But, John, you're right. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma now in control of their own destiny.
Maryland and Miami, both with a chance to go to the ACC championship game. And that's surprising for a Maryland team that's 2-10 a year ago. Stephen Morris drops back, finds Leonard Hankerson here. as Miami comes back to take the lead.
Stephen Morris showed a lot of poise as a true freshman, threw a costly pick 6 early in this game, but that poise helps that team come back. Miami's still alive now in the ACC Coastal Division.
Oh, and NC State really gets hurt by this loss.
NC State loses control of their destiny in the Atlantic Division. Clemson was able to survive 3 turnovers, 2 missed field goals, and with Florida getting the win, that guarantees the winner of next week's game against South Carolina wins the SEC East.
And goes to the championship game. Stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk about our primetime games, including a huge one in the Pac-10 between a couple of one-loss teams. You'll see that on ABC. Some will see Missouri and Texas Tech. Capital One halftime report. John Saunders and Jesse Palmer. Primetime games on the ESPN family of networks. South Carolina trying to stay on top in the East.
Arkansas, the second-best pass offense in the country, averaging 360 yards a game, but they'll be playing without their leading receiver, Greg Childs, who's lost for the rest of the year with an ACL. South Carolina, meanwhile, with a win tonight, it'd be the first time in school history they've beaten 3 ranked opponents in the same regular season.
Missouri now with 1 loss, looking to bounce back as they face Texas Tech on ABC.
Missouri's won 3 in a row against the Red Raiders. Quarterback Blaine Gabbert trying to bounce back against a poor performance last week versus Nebraska. He'll be trying to take advantage of a porous Texas Tech defense, giving up 317 passing yards a game.
And 2 one-loss teams in the Pac-10 still with their eyes perhaps on the Rose Bowl.
It's the first time both Arizona and Stanford have met as ranked opponents. Arizona has to make a game-time decision at quarterback. Is it Nick Foles or the more mobile backup, Matt Scott? Meanwhile, Stanford averaging 42 points a game behind the play of Andrew Luck.
So 2 games tonight on ABC. Here's a look at the map. Just check out where you live and you know which game is available in your area. In the gold will be the Pac-10, the one-loss teams Arizona and Stanford. In the red, one-loss Missouri taking on Texas Tech. This is the Capital One Halftime Report.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Kay Jewelers.
Homecoming at Florida State, and the Seminoles celebrating with a 28-21 lead as we get ready to start the second half. Welcome back, everybody. Mike Patrick, Craig James. Great to have you with us with our entire ABC and ESPN crew. Quarterbacks really impressed me in the first half.
Very impressive. And we came into this game, including Mark Stoops and the Florida State defense, expecting North Carolina to go 2 tight ends and try to pound the football at them. They've hardly scratched the surface running the football. But T.J. Yates has been effective throwing it. He's on his way towards a 300-yard passing game. You are what you are on a particular day today. Throw the football, take advantage of it.
The difference in the first half was the pass that Yates missed on the deep throw, had his H-back wide open.
Yeah, good point. Forgot about that one.
Missed him by a step. He hasn't forgotten about it. FSU will get the ball to start the second half. Reed runs up on a short kick, takes it at the 12. And is sandwiched short of the 30-yard line. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Time of possession, North Carolina with a 4-minute-plus advantage. They've thrown for 244 yards, and Craig very kindly circles the big difference in that first half. Only 17 rushing yards for the Heels. And they lost their starting tailback on top of it with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, but I thought that coming in, and that is a tough loss, no doubt, but Sean Drawn, he came in, and he absolutely has the experience, and he did well in his time in.
Thompson starts the second half as the tailback. Instead, they go out on the flanker screen to Taiwan Easterling, and Easterling is taken down on a great play by Kendrick Burney, who fights off his blocker and makes the tackle. Kid is very talented. All ACC senior, playing only his second game of the year. Ponder Goes down at the 19-yard line. And the sack goes to Dante Page-Moss. He has 2.5 this year. This very young defensive line, as they lost 2 outstanding players, 1 tackle and 1 end. A lot of these guys filling in and playing well.
Yeah, they're playing well, but this is a coverage sack all the way. And Ponder just felt like he had to move to the left. Didn't help out Datko at all. And this North Carolina defensive line, not known for sacks, comes up with a play to start the second half.
Well, you're right about Datko. He probably wants to turn around and say, why did you go that way? Thompson trying to turn the corner on 3rd and long, taken out of bounds at the 30 by Quan Sturdivant. And that'll bring on the kicking unit. Good defensive stand on the first series of the 3rd quarter by the heels.
No question, because Ponder in the first half was a very hot quarterback. And we've seen it. Now, so far, the trend continues. You either 3 and out or you go the distance and you score.
That's right. Powell to kick to Searcy. Was a very dangerous return guy. He was 5th in the country a year ago. His number's down from that, but he's still very good. With returns just like that. Midfield, and the kicker saved today, Sean Powell. Slowed him up enough and helped on the tackle to return 36 yards by Denoris Searcy, his longest of the year.
That's just one of those guys. Can you imagine if he'd have been there the whole time, though, right?
Exactly.
I mean, so the inconsistency of having bodies that you can count on and explosive plays for your football team. Searcy, obviously one of those guys that provides them a whole lot of bang and sets up their offense.
Great vision on kick returners. And he gets them in great shape. They'll start from the Seminole 42-yard line. Sean Drone, the tailback. Look out from behind. The sack comes from Brandon Jenkins. His 2nd of the game. He now has 10 for the season. And he came into this game 9th in the country in sacks.
You know, we ended the 2nd quarter with Brandon Jenkins getting a sack and saying, okay, I'm out here, fellas. You guys better be prepared for me. And, you know, if you're not taking care of number 49, you have a blown assignment before the ball snapped.
Well, they ended up double teaming the tackle and letting him go. He's the one guy on the line you can't let go. Yates never had a chance. Got him from the blind side. Fakes the draw. Yates will try to do it himself. Blockers in front. T.J. Yates down to the 27-yard line. It's enough for a first down. Yates had only had a 10-yard run as his long for the season. This breaks it.
He missed opportunities and tackles at the line of scrimmage, and you saw Vince Williams, 11, the linebacker, come off into coverage. Yates ran right by him.
Nobody will confuse him with Cam Newton, but he got the job done. Drone cuts it outside, and that was a solid tackle by Bradham.
Number 2 on the team in tackles, and the one thing about the Florida State linebackers, when the unit is playing well together, their linebacker level is filling their lane and what they call their foxholes in Mark Stoops' defense. They're in their hole. You don't want to get in there with them.
2nd and 6 for T.J. Yates in the North Carolina offense, driving to try to tie this game. Yates on a roll and in trouble again. Down he goes. Marcus White, the other defensive end, give him 5.5 sacks on the season. And the 3rd for the Seminoles this afternoon.
Okay, now watch again. Now here's what's going to happen. Watch how good a job that White does with his body. And look at, see how he's moving, he's going, he's staying. His feet are active. And that's the word the coaches use about him. Hey, he's an active player. Leads by example.
Very athletic as well. 3rd and long. They need to reach the 18 for a first down. Yates throws too high. Intended for Ryan Taylor, his H-back. Right now, they're trying to use 4 guys to make up for the loss of Zach Pianalto, who was a tremendous tight end. Broke a leg against Virginia.
He was. Boy, what a loss. I mean, but again, you lose one of your best players on top of what all they'd lost earlier, and you just, hey, let's keep going, fellas.
They've lost one of their best players time after time after time after time this year. And now they're going to try to go for a long field goal.
46-yard field goal for North Carolina, number 11.
This will be a 46-yard field goal attempt by Barth.
The kick is good.
And the kick is good by Barth. That is his long of the season. And Barth cuts the lead to 4. This week on ESPN's Monday Night Football, the Steelers head to Cincinnati to face a hungry Bengals team. Steelers and the Bengals on ESPN Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern. Coverage starts at 7. Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's. Heels close to within 4 and now have to kick it away to the Seminoles, and Reed is deep again.
Kicking off for North Carolina, Casey Barth.
Heels playing for their season right now. Remarkably, they are still in the hunt. Reed stays on his feet, dives out to the 25.
Red Reed on the return.
We said coming into the game today that Christian Ponder had to forget the 6 turnovers in the 2 previous outings that he had. You see the zip on the ball right there, Mike? You and I, we watched him against Boston College a couple of games ago where he had the bruise and the versus sack. He's getting the ball to the flats with zip and Pest on the ball and doing a nice job of not making mistakes today.
Those passes to the sideline against Boston College took forever, and we were speculating at the time that he might have been injured. Little did we know he had burst a versus sack. Go with the ground game to Lonnie Pryor, who scored a touchdown today. It was an unusual formation. That looked like back in the day with split backs.
Back in the day? Would that be like in the back of the day of my day?
Yeah, absolutely. You remember that.
Yeah. It used to be called the pro set.
You'd have a halfback or a halfback and a fullback, or 2 halfbacks, neither one of which wanted to block for the other.
Yeah, nobody wanted to block. Give me the ball.
Ponder fakes it this time. And again, right on target, and a perfect throw to Halstead. Halstead has been very, very active, picked up a couple of penalties, but he's picked up a lot of yards as well. That one was for 26. 5 catches, 101 total for Halstead on the day.
Yeah, while you admire the route and the throw, I'm going to talk about the offensive line. This offensive line coming into the game, it was told by us, Jimbo Fisher said they're not doing a good job of pass protection. So far in this game, they've done a really nice job of pass protection, and they had to replace their right guard, Brian Stork, who's out with an illness, with Ronnie Sanderson.
They were doing a good job on the short stuff, but when Ponder needed time, he wasn't getting it. Fake the end around, good fake by Ponder. Now he's under pressure, and there's an example of what Jimbo Fisher was talking about. That pocket collapsed, and Quentin Coples came through and stuffed the quarterback.
Woo! Do you see the speed now? Again, I said to you in the first half that Coples was moved from defensive end to inside at tackle because they had no depth inside. This is the burst that Coples has. When he gets off the hands there, he's going. The athleticism. He now has 6.5 sacks on the season. Plays behind the line of scrimmage a lot.
And when he catches you, you stay caught. 2nd and 20 for the Seminoles. This time they'll give it off to Thomas. And Thomas across the 45 to about the 46. Paige Moss makes another tackle.
What Florida State has to guard against is playing conservative, because North Carolina has nothing. They've got everything in the world to lose nothing. You know, they can't hold back at all. So they're going to fire at you, North Carolina, in the second half. And Florida State's going to have to keep the ball moving down the field like we saw the previous play on a nice pass deep.
Thomas is the tailback in that split back set again. Three-man rush. Covering very well in the secondary. Now Ponder taken out of bounds.
And it's a lot of white jerseys dropping into coverage wisely. I mean, it's third and a long distance here. So Everett Withers, the defensive coordinator over at North Carolina, has done a heck of a job in this ball game. When he had the opportunity to get off the field, he's gotten his team off.
You know what? You consider all the guys that Coach Withers has lost this year, and the teams that he's facing, the good offense that he's facing, the fact that he's not giving up 50 a game is a tremendous job. This one they'll be able to pin inside the 10. Good kick, good coverage. They'll mark it at the 8-yard line. A 44-yard punt, no return, and North Carolina will take over from there.
ESPN's College Football on ABC, brought to you by Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And Cooper Tires. Don't give up a thing.
Part of the homecoming festivities last night here at the Civic Center in Tallahassee, where the Seminoles basketball team plays.
My Thursday partner, Jesse Palmer, really wanted to come to town to judge that dancing competition last night.
Did he?
He just missed out.
Yates throws to his H-back, Ryan Taylor. And Ryan Taylor with a big gain out to the 35-yard line. Let's check in with a score update in the studio.
All right, Mike, AT&T All-America Player of the Week update. Michigan State's Edwin Baker. He's a nominee. 179 yards, 4 touchdowns as the Spartans handled Minnesota 31-8. You can text VOTE to 345-345 to take part and for a chance at a trip to the national title. Mike.
Robert, he's a pretty good football player, and that's a pretty good team. Yates wants to go deep again, has a man wide open, Jones. And Jones inside the 10 to the 7. That's the second big play that Yates has hit Dwight Jones. That's 56 yards for Jones. And if there is a wide receiver in this country who was as hot as Dwight Jones, I'd like to see him.
And as hot as a quarterback right now. Look at Yates. He buys time, moves the pocket, excellent job protection up front, and there's no excuse at all for Nick Moody and the safety to get someone behind him.
Drone has a hole off the left side in the 5, inside the 5, driving to the 3.
You know, North Carolina opened this football game up with a big throw down the left side. Play action on the first one, play of the game. And they have kept it going the entire ball game. Now, this is a Florida State defense that's very aggressive against the run, but now they've got to readjust their minds. They got to realize that North Carolina is getting it done throwing the football. They got to be respectful of it.
Dwight Jones, 183 yards receiving today. 183. Drone again, hitting the backfield, taken down near the 5. Penetration by Marcus White and Jacoby McDaniel.
Well, this is a very good red zone defense against touchdowns. They've given up only 11 out of 25 trips this season coming into the game. That's respectable. You're going to have to do something down here to earn your way in for 6 points.
3rd and goal, like play action here, straight drop back. What do you like? Going to go under center, tight formation. They have thrown out of this formation successfully. Play action fake. Pass, touchdown, Adams. When you have a tight formation, you draw the defense in with you and gives the guys on the outside of that tight formation room to operate.
Mike, this is twice we've seen Adams now because of formations by John Shoup. You're going to see him. He's the number 2 receiver to the inside. So it's really hard for guys out there defending. You got number 2, you better get out there with him. And the timing, Yates, get the football, get it out of your hands.
You're stuck on the inside, he's outside, they throw it there, and it works. T.J. Yates has thrown for 331 yards and has just put North Carolina back on top.
You're watching ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by K Jewelers.
Right now, homecoming is less than happy. And the reason is North Carolina has come from behind to take the lead over Florida State 31-28. Reed from the 7-yard line. Another seam. Turns on the Jets across the 35. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A drive recap, and what a good one it was for North Carolina, particularly T.J. Yates, who was terrific.
You know what? He's getting the protection, though. He starts off with a tight end throw, right, Mike? Then he gets out of the pocket. The line buys him enough time for his receiver, who's just absolutely on fire, Jones, to make the catch down the field. And then because of formation change again by John Shoup calling the plays, really good job of protecting Joshua Adams, and he gets out for the easy 6.
North Carolina by 3, so Florida State is challenged again. They'll start from their own 36-yard line. Thompson picks his way for a couple to the 38.
Well, you get a little feeling, Mike, this might be one of those games where whoever has it last wins.
Yeah, you sure do.
I tell you, the ACC this year has just been, I've enjoyed it because there are a lot of teams that are good. No great teams here, but a lot of good football teams in the ACC.
Particularly on offense. 2nd and 8 for Ponder. Carolina jumps offside. Going to be a free play for Ponder. Throws incomplete.
There's your Rick Trickett deal on the offensive line, staying in place.
Offside. Defense number 78. 5 yards. Still 2nd down.
How do you have the discipline to do that? That is so much fun to watch.
I tell you why, because that little big man Rick Trickett with his cigar and his mouth, you know him. Let me tell you, I would not want to go to Sunday's meetings.
No, he will raise his voice every now and then.
Oh, he's good. What a great football coach. I really have enjoyed watching Rick Trickett put together an offensive line here over the last 3 years. He's one of those guys that the players respect. He's got a system, knows it. I was standing in the end zone watching him warm him up this afternoon. You learn a lot watching guys like him.
Got a tremendous reputation, always has, as an offensive line coach, the best in the business. Need to reach the 46. They'll be about a yard shy as Thompson goes into the middle.
And again, this being the 6th different starting offensive line group in the last 9 games. And they continued to play well, especially today in the pass protection of it, which they were concerned about.
And when he came here as the offensive line coach, that was a real weak spot on this football team.
Yeah, I think his work done was the last 1,000-yard rusher here, 96 or 7, a long time ago.
Yeah, that is a long time ago.
The line just wasn't getting it done.
Quarterback keeper. Unusual technique by Ponder. Turns to the side, sort of leans into one.
Like, I'm going to protect my right shoulder and my right arm. There's old Coach Trickett.
Yeah.
Oh,
no excuses,
right?
sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, Ponder didn't want to get that right arm hit.
Yeah. Can't remember I've ever seen that particular technique on a sneak before. Thompson, nice cut, and picks up 8 yards. Looked like it was going to be stuffed at the line of scrimmage, but Zebree Sanders gave him a crease, and he got through it for 8 yards, and one of the heels is down.
Well, the formation that Florida State has running on that right there is that pistol formation. Quarterbacks at 4 yards, tailback straight behind him. See that pistol, the old Nevada deal that everybody's using in the country nowadays, some variation of it. forces a defense to stay balanced over on their side of the line. You don't know where he's coming, left or right. See if we can.
Tim Jackson, number 93, is the player who is down for North Carolina, and the last thing they need is to lose another player. They are so thin at virtually every position.
He stood out for me yesterday watching film on North Carolina, studying them. He's just one of those players that pops out at you, and he's got a lot of upside.
Well, they have done an exceptional job recruiting in Chapel Hill, that's for sure. Saturday Night Football has a Pac-10 flavor and a big showdown between number 15 and number 13, Arizona and Stanford. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines on ABC. Tonight at 8 Eastern, some of the nation will see number 12 Missouri and Texas Tech. You can go to ESPN.com and find out which game you will be able to see tonight. And obviously, Jackson having to be helped to the sideline. And if you're Butch Davis and company, you just turn to the next guy on the list and send him in. You got no choice. As he said the other day, they make you play with 11 guys.
They got 11.
So we'll send out 11.
Yeah, we got 11. It is what it is. And you know what, Mike, I've likened them a little bit to USC. They have 67 players on their roster at USC.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin's going to tell them, guys, go play. You didn't come here to sit and watch, you know, and it's your opportunity.
They hand you their roster, and you say, this is it. Where's the second page? And the response is, this is it. We got one page. First and 10 Seminoles. Ponder on the option. Thompson. And Ponder was drilled by Deontay Williams. Another silly play by Williams.
Illegal block in the back, number 8. That's 10 yards from the previous spot. Still first down.
Well, he got away with one.
And Easterling was coming from the outside in. He clips from behind. Right side of the screen, right side offensive line. Right offensive line coming back from the right side. See that? Number 8 from behind. And a smart play by the defensive back to turn his back to the blocker there. Deontay Williams turns his back so that Easterling blocks him in the back.
Well, that's the reason he got the hit. My mistake. He made the most of it, though.
Yes.
Ponder's short set, quarterback draw. Picks his way around a couple of guys and gets down to the 43-yard line. Another flag in the backfield.
Illegal chop block, number 73 and 24. High-low combination. 15 yards from the previous spot. Still first down.
73 is Ronnie Sanderson. 24 is Lonnie Pryor. They're called for a chop block when one player is engaged. Another player cannot come in and help him out high-low.
Now, here it is right here. See that right there?
That's dangerous.
Yeah, you know, that's why that's called a chop block. Illegal. You cannot do it.
That's how guys get knees blown out. Seminoles are going in the wrong direction. It's 1st and 35. Look at that offensive line. Stay dead still. They still haven't moved.
Outside. Defense. 5 yards. Still first down.
If you didn't know Rick Trickett was in the state, you would after that move. Look at this.
All the offensive linemen who've ever played for Rick Trickett, they'll grow up they'll go into marriage one day, and wife will tell them to stay right where they are, and they'll be right there in that chair.
I'll be right here when you come home, honey. Oh, that is so funny. Ponder back at his own 42. They have to get to the Carolina 28 for a first down. Hangs in the middle, throws underneath, completes it to Halstead, who bounces off one defender and takes it out to the 47-yard line.
This is a bad position now for this Florida State offense because Everett Withers' group is out there realizing just keep them in front. And all the momentum you can feel right now, North Carolina with it. Ponder just has to guard against forcing something. It's okay to punt and let your defense get out there and try to stop T.J. Yates.
3-man rush. Ponder trying to buy some time. Throws on the run. It's going to be intercepted at the 40-yard line. There is a flag down. Merletti picked it off. The holding call may go against Carolina.
Number 98 defense. Roughing the passer. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Going to call Paige Moss for roughing the passer on a play that could have turned this game around.
For 98 defense, holding number 77 on the offense. Those penalties will offset. We'll replay second down.
Oh, how huge is that? That's an automatic first down.
45 seconds ago, I just said Ponder has to guard against throwing a bad ball down the field.
And he just did.
And you just can feel it. Now, this is, you know. But this Florida State offensive line that I've been praising, they're falling apart up front, aren't they? Now we're seeing what they were talking about, Mike. Now that the pass is out there, now that Florida State or North Carolina has figured out they're only hurting us with the pass, they're pinning their ears back and they're getting back to Ponder in the backfield.
Well, that kind of stuff's just uncalled for.
Yeah.
So you pretend it didn't happen. They want a screen. They let everybody through. Throw the screen to Thomas. And Thomas crosses midfield. They're still going to be about 20 yards shy of a first down.
Okay, this is a fantastic call by Jimbo Fisher on second down with a screen against a very aggressive front four. It's a very impressive job by the 7 men in white jerseys getting to the football.
Yes, it was. Kevin Reddick, the middle linebacker, was out there. He was in on the tackle. Zach Brown was in on the play. Thomas had blockers in front, but didn't do a real good job of setting them up. Still 3rd and a mile. 4-man rush. Good protection. Underthrown and incomplete. Crowd wants the flag. They're not going to get it. Matt Merletti came back, knocked the ball down. It was intended for Rodney Smith, but the ball was underthrown. Smith actually had half a step on the safety.
Well, you know what? When your name is Merletti, his dad, Lou, was a part of the Secret Service who protected 3 different presidents. What's the big deal in guarding a wide receiver?
ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC station. Start of the 4th quarter, North Carolina by 3 over number 24, Florida State. Now it's time for our senior tour segment. Ochuko Genije tells us his favorite spots here at Florida State.
The Union, that's pretty much where everything happens. Everybody's at midday, every single day. You have the bowling alley right there, and that's just where pretty much everybody just goes there to hang out. When you go to the library, you take study breaks and stuff like that. They have a game system and stuff, Starbucks in there. So, I mean, it's a place to study, but then when you take your break, it's another social spot on campus. The Ruby Diamond Fountain, that's where a lot of freshmen, just to feel like you're a part of Florida State, they go jumping in the fountain and stuff like that. And that's pretty much a landmark that a lot of students have, is the Ruby Diamond Fountain.
Spends a lot of his time on special teams for the Seminoles. He's out there right now as they will have to punt it away on 4th down. The senior, homegrown product from Tallahassee. Searcy will let it go, and it takes a big bounce into the end zone, a 49-yard kick, but a net of only 29 as North Carolina will start from the 20-yard line. You get the feeling if you're calling offensive plays, you better not back off the pedal.
No, I don't think so. I think the pressure in this game comes down to both offensive lines, because now the defenses have recognized it's a passing game. And they're playing hard against that quarterback. And as long as they're only rushing 4, you know, you better be ready to block and give your quarterback time to throw.
Elsie, number 6, lines up as a tailback. They'll swing it to him in the flat, and Elsie taken down at the 24-yard line. They have lost Johnny White. Sean Drone has been playing in his spot. Elsie, who is a backup fullback and can also play tailback, is in there right now.
Man, I always enjoy watching a John Shoup called offense, because he uses everybody. He moves formations, and it's just a really creative way of calling a game.
He's made some great calls today, going against tendencies. Yates goes deep, has a man complete down to the 35-yard line. Again, it's Adams. Joshua Adams got behind Terrence Parks. How many big plays is North Carolina going to hit FSU for today?
All right, here's goes Shoup now. Again, you're going to get in motion. Look at 49. The H-back comes across, and he blocks the in man of the line of scrimmage, allowing the ball to develop down the field, making sure you protect the quarterback, moving the pocket. Again, you see these moves in the secondary and the coverage of Florida State. Again, having white jerseys behind them.
Boy, Parks is lucky they didn't hit the receiver in stride, or he's gone, because Parks was really out of position. And now here comes a flag at the end of this play. That might be a helmet to helmet.
After the player's out of bounds, personal foul, number 29 defense, half a distance to the goal, from the end of the run, first down.
Kendall Smith, the middle linebacker, called for a hit out of bounds.
But I can tell you, a group of fans who are also cheering about this would be somewhere along North Carolina State way, who lost today to Clemson. Had the edge coming in this game with Florida State. They drop one, so they're sitting at home cheering, hoping that Florida State goes down 1. That play, I agree with you, Mike. I mean, what?
I mean, when a guy's right on the edge, how do you pull up? That's what I'm asking.
That's a tough one.
When you use replay, he was obviously out of bounds. But if you're playing, that's pretty tough. Elsie. A lot of pushing and shoving going on after every play now. McLeod made that last tackle.
Now we're seeing down in here again this red zone defense. Florida State, that has been very strong this season, has had a hole in them today because of formations, and we've been able to watch and see number 3 Joshua Adams now a couple of times being hidden inside and coming out as a number 2 receiver and wide open.
Seminoles have been pretty good in the red zone. Today they have been vulnerable. Elsie on the draw. Inside the 10, drilled as he got to the 9.
Now I can tell you that in film study there was a big hole there, but Elsie, playing in now for the injured Johnny White, was late getting to the quarterback. And that's just because he's not been doing it. And you're going to see, watch if we can here, you're going to see how he goes a little bit too far to the left, and he's late getting back there. The hole is up in there. He's supposed to be beyond number 90. That's not supposed to be a player in that play right there. He's supposed to be up at the linebacker level with the football.
They'll send him out as a wide receiver this time on 3rd and long. They need to reach the 4 for a first down. Yates over the middle, incomplete. There is a flag down, however. Dwight Jones, who has had such a brilliant game, stopped and nearly had that pass picked off because of it. And it's going to be a motion penalty against North Carolina. Jones was coming.
Formation on the offense. 5 men in the backfield. That penalty will be declined. 4th down.
Jones was coming across the middle, and when he stopped, the quarterback has no choice. He's already thrown the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a little different look when you got 3 receivers to the left-hand side. And they come out and they look single. They're hoping they can get their star receiver of the day, Jones, to keep moving across, catch the ball with a chance for a first down.
Casey Barth will try a 26-yard field goal. He has already connected from 46. And North Carolina increases its lead to 6, but there's a flag down again.
Number 80 was in the backfield. 5 men in the backfield. 5 yards. Replay, 4th down.
2 straight illegal formation penalties, and they'll have to try the field goal again.
How about Butch Davis? You know what? Go ahead.
Just kick it again.
He's been through so much in his life. You don't get that hollow, empty feeling anymore, that seed that says, oh, what's next? It's just like, hey, line up, kick it again.
This will be from 31 yards for Barth, who is 8 out of 10 this year, including 1 this afternoon. No flags this time, and North Carolina increases its lead to 6. 34-28 with 11:41 to go.
But a great job by that Florida State defense of limiting them to 3 points.
The country can't wait for the CMA Awards with performances by the biggest stars in country music, hosted by Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood, live Wednesday at 8/7 Central on ABC. If Sugarland is going to perform, I'm there, and Sugarland is going to perform.
I had a little Lady Antebellum carrying me through my workout this morning.
Ooh.
I like it.
Reed is deep. Florida State, which got an earlier gift today of its 2 contenders in the division losing, now in danger of dropping back with them, and they get a break here.
Ball replaced at the 40-yard line. 1st down.
North Carolina kicks it out of bounds, and the Seminoles will start at the 40. And Barth really upset with himself. Let's check in with Robert Flores. Robert?
All right, Mike, here's what's happening on SportsCenter right now, presented by Discover. Number 1 Oregon starting to pull away from Washington. Darren Thomas, look at the move right there to get into the end zone. Ducks leading 39-16. Number 6 Alabama gets the go-ahead touchdown from Mark Ingram. They need number 10 LSU 16-13.
Ponder right back on the attack, completes a pass to the 40. Willie Halstead with another grab. He's had a big day. Deontay Williams knocked him out of bounds. 7 catches for Halstead.
Yeah, he really has stepped up. And early in this game, the Florida State receivers were not catching the ball clean. And Halstead started being one of the guys, finally said, okay, enough's enough. We're going to catch the football.
7 catches, 127 yards, and boy, has Ponder been good. Plenty of protection deep down the middle. Was he in or out of bounds? The officials looking at each other. No. Reed caught the pass, but they said he was out of bounds.
Oh, I think his right foot seemed to have come down first, just after the back end line. But there was no safety back there, so Ponder let it go. There's no possession yet. The left foot is down. Left foot is up. While possession is there, right foot down. Nice call.
He had beaten Bernie, made the catch, but does not get the foot down.
Wow, game of inches, isn't it, Mike?
Oh.
I mean, it's just crazy, but what a throw. No safety back there. Ponder went ahead and let it go.
Now 2nd and 10 from the Carolina 39. 4-man rush. Halstead goes way up the ladder to make that catch. Zach Brown nailed him.
That's the way you do it, though. If you want to find a way to keep your team in the ball game and to stay on top of your division race, you go up and you give your body up and you help your quarterback.
Yeah, but you go back and you tell them, listen, yeah, I've had these ribs for a long time. I'd like to keep them a little longer.
All right, 3rd down, money down.
They need the 29 for a 1st down. Ponder drops the snap, gets it right back. He can run, got the 1st down and dives to the 25. If he sees an opening, he's gone. He's not going to hit you for 80, but he'll hit you for a big 5 or 10.
Yeah, okay, now what happens here is Quentin Copel's number 90 on the defensive line. He's coming around, but he doesn't quite get there. He's watching the ball on the ground. He was supposed to have been all the way around the outside for that outside containment. He got caught watching the ball on the ground and didn't do his job.
First down, Seminoles. As we approach the 10-minute mark. Thomas down near the 21-yard line. Remember, this drive started after the kick was out of bounds from the 40-yard line. So the Seminoles have not had to go this far, only 39 yards to be in this position. Three wide receivers. Thomas is the single setback, and he'll get the carry. Dragging tacklers with him down to the 18-yard line. Tydreek Powell, number 91, was the first man in that defensive swarm to drag him down.
You know, Jimbo Fisher was talking about his offensive line and having the confidence in them on running the ball on second and a fair amount of yards to get the job done against North Carolina's front seven. And, you know, now he comes down to where he has the option of doing play action or running the football.
It's going to be 3rd and a yard and a half. Thomas. Room to the outside, first down and more, and a flag down at the end of the play.
Holding number 88 on the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
Usually when you see someone run to the outside and there's nobody there to stop him, somebody's holding.
Well, you see number 88 in line of the scrimmage. I thought they'd call it on the outside of the wide receiver, which was not going to be holding in my opinion, but you've got cloth, and when the defender can't get away from you, there's usually a reason. Well, we've seen now several mistakes by Florida State's offense, whether it was drop balls or procedures, or critical times, just putting them in a bind.
Now there's a huge play here. 3rd and 8. They are within field goal range, but do you want to settle for a field goal or do you go for it down here? Blitz coming. Ponder hangs in the middle and throws, and it's right through the hands of Reed. 6 drops. Had to turn the other way, but still it looked like a pass he should have caught.
Oh, it's absolutely. And you know what? It is turning the other direction, but Burt Reed is a guy that's going to make that catch most of the time. And you could see that Ponder realized blitz was coming in his face. He took something off the ball, not accurate all the way, but he took something off. Reed usually would make that play. And I'm agreeing with Jimbo here on this thing here. You know, don't chase points right now with 8 minutes to go in this quarter. You got to depend on your defense to go make a play.
Chris Thompson, the player that was shaken up for Florida State, limping as he comes off the field. And the field goal unit is on. Sean Powell to try a field goal that would cut it to 3. Plenty of time left in this game. 7:56. There you see the specialist, Dellenbach, the snapper. Powell, the punter, is the holder, and Hopkins on to try the field goal from 42 yards. And he missed it.
And the kick is no good. It remains North Carolina 34, Florida State 28.
So the Seminoles still down by 6, and North Carolina gets the ball back with 7:51 to go.
ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with K. The sport-injected 2011 Buick Regal. And Ally. Do you love your bank? Learn more at allybank.com.
Big plays have hit North Carolina State where it hurts. A dropped pass and then a missed field goal have really taken the air out of this place. Florida State, excuse me. You're North Carolina, you'd love to maintain control of the ball right here. What a catch. Down to the ground goes Dwight Jones and picked it off the top of the grass for 19 yards.
Yeah, this young man has stepped up today. Here it is on first down. John Shoup saying, look, we have a lead, but we're not going to run right into a wall. We're going to throw, and I've got confidence in my quarterback, T.J. Yates.
Well, they may have to throw. They've only gained 41 yards rushing in 21 tries. But Jones is up to 202 yards receiving, and in the last 4 games,
under further review.
The last 4 games, he has nearly 600 yards as a wide receiver. That's almost 150 yards a game. Now they'll take a look at this and see if they've got a better angle than we had.
Indisputable video evidence is needed, and at that point right there, there's
further
nothing.
review, running on the field stand.
Good job. Way to go, officials. I mean, in and out of there. Keep the game going.
For Dwight Jones, already the 4th best single game performance ever for North Carolina. 202 yards receiving.
And, you know, how about T.J. Yates? He's now had 5 300-yard passing games. And now here he is with the 3rd one this year.
He has been spectacular today. First down from the 43. Yates again. Now under pressure, and down he goes. Well, I gotta love the play call. I mean, you come out, you figure you need something to win this game. Let's go for it.
Well, here's what they were going for. They were going for a home run. You had a 4-man rush. The linebackers were up, and they were really tight, and Yates is looking deep down the field. His eyes are deep. And there's only one receiver, one option deep, and everybody else was covered underneath.
2nd and 15 after the sack. Yates near side, incomplete. It was intended for Eric Highsmith. First time they have thrown his way today, and Yates missed him badly.
Here's the problem with having such success throwing the ball. Over 400 yards now for T.J. Yates. But now's a part of the game. You need to be able to run the football. And coming into this football game, they were running for 136 a game. But when you lose your #1 guy, Johnny White, it makes you one-dimensional. And
Drone has been nowhere to be seen. They have gone to their 3rd tailback. Elsie, we've had no report on Drone. So your top 2 tailbacks are gone. Pretty much kills your running game. Yates gets out of bounds. Boy, there's another good decision made by the Seminole tackler, Nigel Bradham. He could have unloaded on Yates, but it was right at the sideline. Discretion is the better part of valor.
And this is called great teamwork. This is a smart defense, because as Yates got to the outside, did you see him wanting his receiver? If that corner had peeled up to support the run, he would have dumped it over him.
Feagles to punt. The first time North Carolina has been forced to punt and a half. All the way back inside to 5, and Feagles picks it up and kicks it out of the end zone. That's going to be a safety. Holy cow.
The penalty is for illegally kicking a grounded ball in the field of play. That penalty will be accepted. Half the distance to the goal from the spot of the foul. Penalty carries a loss of down. First down.
in the field of play with the kick of the ball. I mean, this is a disaster before the kick's even there. And Feagles is back there and kicks it at about the 3-yard line. That's why it's half the distance.
Well, I know what he's thinking in his mind. He's kicking it out of bounds thinking it is a safety. I know in the NFL, it would be.
Yeah, you kick it, but it was not. It was in the field of play.
Exactly.
In the fraction in the field of play. That's just a bang-bang play. And, you know, it's a few yards, your head's not on right, you're not thinking. How many times, though, are you faced as a punter with something like that?
But what a turnaround. They would have been able to punt the ball perhaps inside the 10-yard line and make FSU go 90 yards. Now you've got Thomas on 1st and goal, the tailback. You give it to the fullback. Pryor, touchdown. Holy cow. What a stunning turnaround. The snap over the head of the kicker, Feagles. Gets down to the 3-yard line, tries to kick it out of the end zone for a safety, but because he kicks it within the field of play, it is a penalty, and Florida State takes over. Oh, man.
Well, Mike, you know what we said a while ago? The team with the ball at the end probably has the best chance of winning this football game. And, you know, this is one of those deals where you're not confronted with that as a punter. Now, I know his dad punted for 100 years in the NFL, but his dad probably never had to have that kind of deal. How about Jimbo Fisher thinking, where's the gift coming from? Wow.
Christmas comes early. That's the long snapper, Mark House, on the left. Unfortunately, you never mention the name of a long snapper unless he makes a mistake. And he did make one there. And then Feagles compounded it, thinking he was going to get a safety. Instead, the Seminoles get the ball on the doorstep. A devastating play, a 1-point Florida State lead. Harrelson on the return. Todd Harrelson spinning off tackles out to the 23-yard line. 5 minutes and 43 seconds to go in this game. Can North Carolina recover?
You know what, Mike, we call a lot of football games, and you just seldom see in college football where a punter near the goal line has to make a decision like that.
Right.
You know, it's one of those bang-bang decisions you have to make, and if you don't do it all the time, you can't expect it to be an automatic, conclusive decision by your punter. You know, pick it up and do something with it, but...
Yeah. Well, if he picks it up and throws it, it's an incomplete pass. But he's thinking, I'm kicking it out of the end zone. We'll give him the 2 points. North Carolina 1st and 10. Elsie is drilled as he crossed the 25 to the 26. And the statistical downside of that bad snap is because now they have 0 yards rushing for the entire game. And now they're trying to do something on the ground with Elsie, their number 3 tailback. This is tough.
What's not been tough, though, is yards through the air. Over 400 for T.J. Yates and plenty of time in this game.
You looking for Dwight Jones like I am?
Yes.
Certainly got more than 200 yards today. Instead, they throw underneath. Elsie. About a yard shy of a first down. They need to get to the 33. And Butch Davis is over there at the sideline yelling at the official, standing on the 33 while the official marks it on the 32. And he's saying, hey, up here, up here.
He's on up here. Now, here's what you have to really be concerned with, though, is you've got a defense that leads the nation in sacks that is pinning its ears back. At home, their crowd really into it right now, and so this offensive line in North Carolina, they're going to have to really, really focus on technique.
Look who's down, Elsie. They're just running out of guys. Curtis Bird is the other guy who has been playing. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. And the 2 quarterbacks have been absolutely sensational today. Ponder, 21 of 31, 3 touchdowns, 239 yards passing. And T.J. Yates, the much maligned senior quarterback of the North Carolina Tar Heels, 22 out of 32, over 400 yards and 3 scores. His career high, by the way, 412. He has 408.
This might put, if there are no other running backs out there that can do it, may force Butch Davis and John Shoup into an empty set. Looks like maybe they've gone with perhaps Ryan Taylor, an H-back hybrid guy.
Hunter Furr, number 40, is in there. Taylor is an H-back. They have been using him as a tight end. He's a pretty good receiver. There's Furr, who's a sophomore out of Louisville, North Carolina. Sophomore, 6 feet 210. They got the first down. Play action fake by Yates. Under pressure, he's going to throw it away. Boy, he's made some, not only has he made some great plays, he's made some exceptional decisions today, and I think that was one of them.
Like that right there. The safety stayed back that time for Florida State, trying to go deep and down the field to Dwight Jones, 83. That's been successful a lot tonight in this ball game. But the no throw, and that's just such a good job of managing the situation.
Which is what he was really heavily criticized for last year, Craig. He wouldn't do that. He'd throw the ball downfield, try to force it in. Had 15 interceptions a year ago. There may be a point where he's going to have to force it here, though. 2nd and 10. And it's caught again by Jones, and Jones breaks the tackle inside the 35-yard line. Mr. Alexander had him and lost him, and Dwight Jones picks up another 31 yards. This guy is awesome.
Okay, now watch the left side. John Shoup again having the number 2 guy, 83. You're going to see him over there. See how he comes in across, just lazily. There's the scrape and the rub by the pick, if you will, that comes across from number 3, Adams, and it clears it out. The play was designed to make sure they had 3rd and short, but it turned into a big play because of your run after catch.
8 catches, 233 yards, the 2nd best day a receiver has ever had in North Carolina football history. Furr, the tailback, trying to cut it outside, cuts back inside, down to the 32.
Boy, how about Furr? There's the guy right there that comes in and picks up a nice 3 or 4 yards for his team. Probably had no idea whatsoever he'd ever even get in the game today.
Absolutely
hey, Mom,
not.
Dad, don't come. I'm not going to get in. Yeah, you're in Carolina. Moms and dads better show up. They might miss a play.
Haven't seen Curtis Bird recently either. So the top 4 listed running backs, tailbacks and fullbacks, are out. Here goes Furr again. He's got a first down. He's down to the 20-yard line. Ryan Taylor and Alan Pelk led the way.
You know, and Alan Pelk is just back after last week. Probably could have played last week, but he had a bad shoulder. But you see big number 70 out there clearing the way. Furr getting up in there. I mean, John Shoup is telling us right now in the country, hey, I'm going to run my offense. I know what the defense has given me. Now it's up to whoever's in there to do their job. Furr's doing his.
This is really amazing. 2.5 minutes left. Furr straight up the middle. 5, 10, still on his feet.
I'm going to tell you what I'm most impressed about at this point with Furr carrying the football. Watch how he protects the football. In the heat and the traffic, that ball is securely tight. 2 hands on the football, protecting the ball. That's awareness. And, you know, most of the guys who come off the bench and don't get, you know, hadn't been lathered up, they're not aware of what they're out there doing.
Clock running, 1:58 to go. They are in field goal territory. All they need is to work on the clock and set it up Elsie is back in, gets the carry.
Jimbo Fisher needs to call timeout here. He's got to start saving this clock. He's got to save the game, give himself a chance.
.128. Second and goal. Florida State with all 3 timeouts left. They're going to have to start using them at some point. Elsie is the tailback. He gets the carry. Stopped at the 4.
And you got to be smart here, and you understand why they're not throwing it, right, Mike? I mean, you don't want to take a chance.
Absolutely.
And so, you just want to make sure that you keep the ball where your kicker can have a very nice shot. All-State good hands play today. There's no doubt who that goes to. That's number 83, Dwight Jones, who has had a record day. Came in hotter than a firecracker, wasn't he, Mike? I mean, he came into this game totally on fire and has now pushed that streak, continues on as the go-to guy. 233 yards, 29.1 average. Mark Stoops, the defensive coordinator, will be seeing number 83 jumping over his bed tonight.
Hunter Furr is the other guy I want to talk about. He comes in 3 carries for 27 yards. All year, he had 2 runs, 2 for 2 yards. He comes in a game that they have to win to stay alive, gets 3 carries for 27 yards. How about that?
And hangs on to the ball. Nice job.
Elsie is in there now on 3rd and goal. They wind the clock. 1:05 to go. And out of bounds. Boy, Yates had his eyes fixed in the end zone. And looking, but he goes out of bounds. So Florida State doesn't have to burn a timeout. A mental mistake by T.J. Yates, something he hasn't done all day.
I almost pulled a hamstring up here trying to slide for him. I mean, it's just, you got to force him to. That is a really big, critical mistake by T.J. Yates.
This will be a 22-yard field goal try for the lead. Barth is 2 for 2. He's hit from 31 and 46. This a chip shot. And North Carolina is back on top. 37-35, leaving the Seminoles 55 seconds and 2 big timeouts left.
Well, I'd recommend that if you're interested in this game, you're not going anywhere, because I don't think it's over. They just need a field goal attempt, right?
Join ESPN in support of our troops, wounded warriors, and their families. Donate $10 by texting USO to 27722 or go to www.uso.org. I've had the rare privilege of being around a lot of our wounded veterans in the last 3 or 4 years, and I can tell you how much donations like that would mean to them and what they are still going through coming back from a war zone. It would be so deeply appreciated you wouldn't believe it. .55 seconds to go in a huge ACC game. Reed had some nice returns across the 40. Midfield. Still on his feet, and Reed's out of bounds at the 44-yard line. Holy cow.
I just felt the air pop in Raleigh, North Carolina. North Carolina State not wanting this. How about Reed? Guy started off the game, almost had a fumble on a critical play. Comes back, explosion. setting up Christian Ponder to do what he needs to do to get them down for a field goal attempt.
That's all they need, and Dustin Hopkins has a great leg. He's kicked 52-yarders twice. They would only need the 35 to give him a shot from there, 10 more yards. But they're not thinking a 52-yard drive or a 52-yard try. They want something a little closer. Underneath, only going to pick up a couple. Crowd questioning that throw because the clock's going to continue to run. Got to hurry, wasting too much time here, especially with 2 timeouts left. Ponder throws. That'll get him a first down and stop the clock to Halstead.
Now, if you want, you
it
can
would
clock
be
it.
49 yards.
You either clock it right now and save your 2 timeouts, but get reloaded. But you definitely get the clock stopped. There you go.
That cost them 1 second, well executed.
Yeah, well executed. You know, so that saves those in your pocket with 2 and gives you a chance to throw the ball and do a lot of other things.
Yeah, you want to keep the 1 timeout to bring the field goal team on so you're not rushing that.
Yeah, very good job there. This allows you to have an 8 or 9 yard run up the middle, screen, something that's in the middle, right, short of a first down.
But 44 is no gimme. Ponder. Halstead, boy, used up an extra couple of seconds there. But he made the catch, got the first down. From here, it would be 37 yards.
Well, it's 37 instead of 41 because at the end of this play, Halstead, when he caught the ball, hits the defender and went 4 more yards. That's a big difference.
Florida State will use a timeout. Now, they want to talk about this because another play is risky. Here's why this is so big. Florida State with a 1-game lead over Maryland and NC State in the loss column. They both lost today, giving the Seminoles a chance. North Carolina is 2 games behind Virginia Tech in the loss column. They've got Tech next week. They can cut the lead in half. But if they lose this game and have 3 losses in the Coastal Division, their chances are pretty much shot.
Well, last week, this Florida State team on a Thursday night against North Carolina State was down, about to win the football game. Play action, tight end wide open, and a crazy fumble on a play action. Ponder has brought his team back now and has to make 1 more play to give themselves a chance to win at the end of this ball game.
Now they're trying to get it to the other hash, and they put it right in the middle.
And they've been down here before not long ago and missed.
And what happened?
It wasn't a good result.
42 yards. But Hopkins has been very reliable this year. Powell is the holder. Dax Dellenbach, number 64, will snap it. Spotted at the 23-yard line. It's going to be probably 40 yards.
And Butch Davis is standing over there. He's got 3 timeouts. I'm sure he'll try to work a little bit on the head of the kicker.
He's going to use one of them.
Timeout, North Carolina. First charge, timeout. Timeout will be 30 seconds.
It all comes down to Hopkins.
Early in the season, North Carolina was concerned, been working on their kickoff, punt coverages. How big was the kickoff return? I mean, it's just humongous that Greg Reed takes back up the middle of the field to give them this field.
Sure was.
I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Try to find number 54 for North Carolina. His name is Bruce Carter. He has blocked 7 kicks in his career. 7. Certain guys have a knack for blocking kicks. And Bruce Carter right now is thinking number 8 and saving this game.
2 timeouts, North Carolina. They have 2 remaining.
A 40-yard field goal to win it. for Florida State. Holy cow. North Carolina survives the reliable Dustin Hopkins, misses 2 field goals late, and North Carolina clings to a 37-35 lead. I'll bet you nobody in their heart really thought he was going to miss that kick.
Are there any hearts left in the stadium?
Maybe not.
Because, you know, when you talk about this Florida State team, one thing that Jimbo Fisher's tried to convince them of is to focus and finish. And 2 weeks in a row, right on the doorstep of a victory, hearts plucked away twice now.
And they go right back in a 3-way tie in their division, and North Carolina somehow is still alive. And the Tar Heels have come back from so many near disasters this year.
Back to you two, guys.
And Butch Davis deserves a heck of a lot of credit for the way he has held this football team together.
You know, congratulations, you're right, Mike. This sports teaches a whole lot of lessons in life.
Yeah.
And those guys over there, Butch Davis and that staff and those players have learned a lot about life this season.
Butch Davis, can you hear us?
I do hear you.
Butch, it's Mike Patrick, Craig James upstairs.
Hi,
Tell
guys.
you what, hats off to you, man. You have done a heck of a job.
Well, let me just tell you something. I heard somebody just say a while ago, kids learning lessons in life. And I tell you what, you got to absolutely love this group of kids. They just refuse to surrender, to give in the face of all kinds of adversity. Our coaching staff, the assistants did a phenomenal job, and kids just keep playing hard, guys, and you got to love them.
Hey, Butch, tell us about one guy,
yes,
Hunter Furr, who had 2 carries all year long. I mean, you were running out of guys to carry the ball. He comes on the field and got 3 big runs for 27 yards.
He really did, and I tell you, you know, I mean, obviously, Hunter's a kid that we recruited a couple of years ago, had a great high school career. Playing behind 2 really good running backs, and you know, he came in cold off the bench, and you got to love him. I mean, he ran hard, he protected the football, he knew he knew what was at stake. But I tell you, who really deserved a lot of credit was that offensive line, those tight ends. They knew we needed to knock it in down there and give him a chance, and they did a great job.
Butch, you've coached football a long time. What has this season taught you and meant to you?
It's kind of hard to put in words, guys. It just, you know, I mean, the resilience of these kids. I mean, you coach football because you love kids, and you coach them because you in good times and in tough times, and you love to see their will and their belief in each other to just stand up against all the odds and the adversity and hang in there, and they'll remember these things for the rest of their life. That's what college football and that's what college sports teaches kids.
Butch, congratulations to you and your kids on a great win.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, congratulations, Butch.
Thank you.
Take a look at the standings, and this does change a lot of things. In the Atlantic Division, Florida State, Maryland, NC State, all with 2 losses. In the Coastal Division, North Carolina is 2 games back in the loss column to Virginia Tech, but they play Virginia Tech next week. They can cut it to 1. And the way things are going for North Carolina, you'd hate to pick against them, you know?
Well, there isn't a coach in this conference that wouldn't tell you that on any given Saturday you can lose, and we'll let the beat continue, man. You see if Florida State can find a heart to show up next week.
Once again, the final score, North Carolina 37, Florida State 35. Don't forget, at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, we'll be back with Saturday Night Football regional action. Just check your local listing. For Craig James and our entire crew, this is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching, and so long from Tallahassee, Florida.